social issues, education, religion, government, or national security. Brannon brings the issues of the day into clear focus through the lens of a Judeo-Christian worldview. And now, here is your host, Brannon Howse.
And welcome to the broadcast on this Thursday night, November 20th, 2025. Talked about it on radio and /TV today at 1 o'clock Central. But I want to talk about it briefly tonight. I had on Usama Dakdok, Shahram Hadian, and Bill Federer. You'll find it at worldviewtube.com the whole hour. But I do want to get Anni Cyrus's take on this. Look at this. Have you seen this? The Islamic doomsday clock. What time is it in America when it comes to the Islamic doomsday clock? We'll touch on that. Also, this is not good. Anti-Semitic mob descends on historic New York City synagogue, urging the resistance to take another settler out. This anti-Semitism thing is just so out of control, and yet Islam is rising in America. I don't expect it to go away. I do expect the attention, however, to turn from going after mostly Jews to going after Christians. That's going to happen. Remember, they talked about going after the Saturday people, those going to temple, and then they're going to go after the Sunday people. So folks should wake up. And I know a lot of you are already awake, but this is not good. We got several reports in this vein. How about the economy? The stock market was down today. A lot of signs that maybe not everything is as it appears to be when it comes to the financial health and cash flow and profit of some of these companies. We'll get into that tonight with Michael Weiner. And a few other interesting historical things I think you might find interesting. Also, concerns about America's banks and liquidity. And then who is likely to come in and be the next chairman of the Federal Reserve coming up in, I think, the spring of 2026. So we'll talk about some of that tonight. We will visit a little bit later with Dr. Bashima Williams. Would you be shocked that she reports about 1 out of 3 of her patients have at some point had some kind of sexual abuse, sexual assault, which may contribute to stomach issues, irritable bowel syndrome, anxiety, fear. Isn't it interesting? Many of the things that we think are just simple health problems may be much more deep. We'll get into that. And a few other things, some teas. She brought me some teas. I don't know what I did with them all, but I thought I had them here. I'll find them again. She brought me some teas. Sent me some, actually. Didn't bring them. She sent them to me. We'll talk about some of the very healthy teas that she loves. So what else is going on? Oh, here they are. Yeah. We'll get into a few of these tonight with Dr. Bashima Williams, some of the teas, the healthy teas that she has sent along. Thank you, Logan. We'll get into that. What else, Logan? Oh, look at this. Germany caves. Another Christmas market canceled over Islamic terror ties. Yeah. And sadly, that kind of thing, I'm afraid, is going to start happening here. All right. How about this one, too? Afghanistan is starving. The West didn't just abandon Afghanistan, it helped it collapse. Kind of intriguing. This came out today when there was the funeral today for former Vice President Dick Cheney. Some of these guys left quite the legacy, did they not? We'll get into some of this and more tonight. Hey, before we go to our first guest, remember, Christmas is coming. Would you do some Christmas shopping over at worldviewtube.com/sponsors, please? worldviewtube.com/sponsors. Like, go to Worldview Talk. Get somebody like a satellite phone. This is a great little gift because a lot of, particularly for guys like survival gear, prepper gear, a lot of guys, I don't know about every guy, but a lot of guys like this kind of thing. But it's maybe sometimes not something they're prone to buying for themselves, but if they got it for a gift, like, hey, I really kind of wanted one of those. I like my satellite phone. I love my satellite phone. It gives me comfort. I know if my cell phone goes down, I have the ability to use my satellite phone. Last summer was in an area, summer before last, I think it was, where I had no cell coverage for the whole weekend. Barely any cell coverage. I mean, it would like very, very, like 1% of the time, I'd make a phone call, I could get the cell to work. So I switched over to my satellite phone. Okay, you just dial the number, push green, you have to be outside, and there you go. You're making phone calls. So the beautiful thing about this is the phone is free. Sign up for one of their very reasonable plans with Tina. And the minutes roll over. So you don't have to worry about running out of minutes. Because like mine, I have a ton of minutes stored up. You can also get one of their solar generators. I have one of those. The bulletproof backpack, the beanies, the blankets that knock down the EMF. It's there at worldviewtalk.com. Hey, you might want to get the water purifier. Hey, by the way, this has been about a year that we've been promoting these. So guess what I got today? I got the filter for the under the sink filter. And I got the under the sink water filter. I got a new filter for it. Also for my shower. So I'm going to be putting in a new filter in the kitchen and a new filter in the bathroom shower because it's been a year. And that's about the longest they're going to last. You don't have to replace the whole thing, just the very inexpensive filter. So that's what I'm trying to tell you. So for those of you that got one of these about a year ago, you can go back now to worldviewwater.net and order up the filter because it's time to replace our filters because a bunch of us, myself and you, started using these about a year ago right now. So worldviewwater.net to get the filter. We'll get those sent out right away. Worldviewwater.net or worldview2.com/sponsors will bring you to the site where you'll see the banner, click it, and get in your order for the filter. All right. Worldview Healthcare. This is antibiotics. You should have these on hand, I believe. I do. I have several of these packs. The blue one, I have several of those. Because again, I do not want to run out of antibiotics, emergency kits, particularly should there be an interruption in just-in-time inventory or infrastructure, power grid goes down, orders aren't being fulfilled at the pharmacy, someone gets sick, and I certainly don't want to have to go sit at an emergency room for 8, 9, 10, 12 hours trying to be seen. I mean, I can't believe the number of people I know personally know them, that have been going to the emergency rooms and sitting for hours, 8, 9, 10, 12 hours to be seen. It's like third world country stuff. And if you just need a good antibiotic to deal with your problem, well, why not just have it on hand? Okay, worldviewhealthcare.com, worldviewhealthcare.com. And of course, you guys know I do the Bella Grace each and every day. Bella Grace, the elixir. I do the Numi that has the glutathione in it to detox your cells and help remove mercury from your brain, according to studies, help prevent Alzheimer's, dementia, and Parkinson's. You know I do the Gatatana. I do a scoop every day. Dolly gets a half a scoop every day. So it's all there. Some of these things make great Christmas gifts, by the way. Put our tea over here. We'll talk to Dr. Bashima about that a little bit later. Some of you, what was I saying, Logan? I was just saying something. I can't remember what. Oh, some of you know that I give Dolly a half a scoop every day on her food. I take a scoop in water every day of my Gatatana, which feeds down to the mitochondria of the cell. And we're told that it will boost your immune system to help your own immune system fight off the bad stuff. All right. So consider doing shopping here at Christmas. Help yourself out and us as well, as this is all part of our general operating budget. So thank you for that. Joining me now is Anni Cyrus. We have some breaking news tonight. Remember us talking about Unit 40 out of Iran with Todd Bensman, what, a year and a half ago, 2 years ago? Anni Cyrus has some breaking news tonight. I don't even think it's been translated into English yet. She joins us now. Anni, welcome back to the broadcast. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you for having me, Brannon.
So remind our audience what Unit 40 is.
Unit 40 is the top spying unit of IRGC, Islamic Republic of Iran's Revolutionary Guard. They have been operating for almost 20 years as the most secreted unit in the world because nobody could get names of who are the leaders, what are the chapters, They knew the operation, and their main job since the beginning has been spying, getting information. As far as America is concerned, they have normally attacked and hacked our operations such as election, banking system. With Israel, they have done a lot of hacking into their military operation. But their top job has always been hunting people like me, Iranians outside of Iran who are either to be killed or kidnapped. That's Unit 40 of IRGC.
And Todd Bensman talked about that, what, a year and a half ago on our broadcast here?
Yes. You guys talked about two different units, which was Unit 40, and also you did talk about Unit 410, which is the basically child of Unit 40. Unit 40 finds people, Unit 410 goes and kill them. Those are the assassins. But yes, Todd Bensman came on your show to talk about some of the information related to hackers of Unit 40 hacking into our banking system, into our immigration system, and all of that. That was about a year and a half ago. Maybe a little longer. And
what are you finding out now that hasn't even, I don't think, as of yet, Showtime here, been written into English yet?
Yes. So Iran International just put out exclusive in Farsi, and per their approval, yours truly is working on translating it. I'm doing my best as fast as I can, but it's very technical, and I don't want to make a mistake. But they have finally found all the chapters, which as of right now, based on my knowledge, Unit 40 has 3 chapters. Translated to English, they have the brothers chapters, sisters chapter, and the hackers chapter. Iran International has found all chapters, names, faces, and addresses of every leader of every chapter, including the top 3 leaders of the entire unit together. So kudos to Iran International. I know a lot of their reporters and researchers and involved people are under direct threat. I know they had to shut down their London offices because UK couldn't even protect them anymore, but they're not giving up. And this exposure, this after 20-some years.
I want to stop you right there. Iran International shut down their London office, you said.
Yes, Brannon, I broke the news on your show last year. Remember,
right.
They moved to Washington, D.C. because UK basically told them we can't protect you no longer.
That's right. I think at one point I told you to tell them to come to the Memphis area. We'll help them set up a secure building. Yes. But they decided to go to D.C., which is fine. But I just want to remind our audience that it's so bad for these folks that are exposing what Iran's doing that they had to leave the UK, London.
Yes, and since they moved to their entire operation to America, for example, during the 12 Days War, 2 of their broadcasters, on-camera news anchors, both ladies, they came out and said that their family members in Iran were arrested and put in prison. They received calls of, you come back, we release them, or we're keeping them in prison forever. So the pressure is high, but they're still doing. Seriously, keep them all in your prayer. I can't claim they're all our sisters and brothers in Christ, but they are doing the right thing. They are putting their lives in danger. So let's keep them in prayers. And I will maybe keep me in your prayers as I try to tackle this translation as fast as I can.
Yes. And thank you for that. Now, this kind of goes with what we mentioned on air today, and we mentioned last week. I'll mention again. This Jason Lewis, he's talking about the fact that back in 2013, it came out that there's an island not far from Venezuela, Margarita Island, where Hezbollah is training Venezuelan cartel members. But he also, as you remember, he dealt with this the other night, because I think it fits with what you're talking about, said that there are properties owned by shell companies tied to Venezuelan and Iranian governments, and he showed them going across the Southwest and even Florida. Have you had any chance to look into that, and how do you think that might fit with these Iranian groups, 40 or 410?
Yeah, I have actually looked into that report, and I'm doing an update on my Venezuela original report of Iran's nuclear Plan B. I'm working on a new update on Venezuela. Looks like, based on what I found, even the Venezuelan-owned properties are still fronts for IRGC, meaning all of it belonged to IRGC, basically. And as far as ties, remember, any unit of IRGC works under one leadership, which is Supreme Leader of Iran. IRGC, for your audience, just in case if they don't know, IRGC is not an Iranian military group. It's IRGC, not Iran, Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps. They don't belong to Iran as a national military unit. They belong to the Supreme Leader of Iran. They answer to him. They take their orders directly from him. Nobody else. That's why during 12 Days War, Khamenei gave power to IRGC when he had to go hide in bunkers, because he knew anyone involved with the nation of Iran will turn on him, but he knew IRGC won't. IRGC is there to protect Islamic revolutions. Iran, Lebanon, Libya, Iraq, doesn't matter. Wherever there's Islamic revolution, they guard it, they protect it. So every single unit goes back to the same goal, taking orders from Supreme Leader and also protecting Islamic revolutions as they develop, or if they have already completed the revolution. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So with that, wherever you see IRGC footprint, you should know all units are involved. Some are actively involved. Some are, for example, if Unit 40 is hacking into any banking system of, let's say, Florida, the secondary unit is a standing by for call to action until Unit 40 is ready to go. Going back to Masih Alinejad, or the call I received from FBI, Unit 40 starts hunting when they have our addresses. Then Unit 410 comes to picture, because now they have the address from Unit 40 to go kidnap or kill or whatever the order might be on the person.
Are they more prone to doing that, coming after someone at their house, or are they more prone to doing it when they're out shopping, getting their groceries? Do you have any pattern here?
Absolutely. The pattern proves. So the first 3 years after revolution, after 79, well, I shouldn't say after 79, because these external hits, the hit list kind of started at the end of the war between Iran and Iraq. So, but the first 3 years of putting hits on dissidents outside of Iran, it happened in their homes. If you look back, for example, the most famous one in Germany, Farrokhzad, who was found in his home, stabbed, butchered, literally. To this day, by the way, it's cold case. Germany has never solved the case. They left it as open case, but they did admit it was a hit job by IRGC. It was in his home, and evidence showed that whomever was in there was friendly enough that he was entertaining these 3 people. But then from there, as people started realizing what's happening, they had to change their pattern. Last 10 years, the pattern is outside. About a good 6-7 of these hits were completed in the target's car as they were driving home or to work or on the road somewhere. That's the list we have. 2 of the kidnappings happened outside in a normal routine, shopping, grocery shopping, whatever the case might be. 2 of the very most famous, one of them, the person I used to work with, was kidnapping through traps, getting invitation to some sort of summit in some friendly country and then being kidnapped from the second country. So they have changed pattern to where now it's outside. Same case with Masih Alinejad. The first plot of kidnapping was supposed to happen when she was out shopping. When she went under FBI protection, they had no choice but to try to get into the safe house where she was being kept with her family to try to kill her.
Here's a picture. Is Iranian dissident's murder probe remains alive in Germany? Prosecutor?
Yes.
Is that him?
That is definitely him. Yes.
It was a 1992 murder?
Yes. And he was found, I think, when he was found in his apartment in, I think it was Berlin, Germany. The perpetrators basically turned on the stove and the oven so high to mess with the time of death. So to this day, there is no actual report of what time it happened. The body was overheated inside the small apartment. It was pretty clear it's a hit job. But mind you, you need to go back to the time in the 90s. It was when Germany and France were still very much covering up for Islamic mullahs, considering their own involvement in the exiled supreme leader. So they did a lot of covering up for them.
So
To this day, most Iranians believe that German police knew exactly who they were, but they covered up for them.
So the report tonight coming out in English, you're translating, it's only in Farsi right now, is that some of these folks here in America, I'm guessing, that track these things, some of them are former Iranians or their family members were from Iran and they came here and were born, you know, whatever it might be. But they're wanting to see Iran free. And some of these people are now somehow working to find out the names and faces of the members of some of these groups, because if they're exposed and people know their faces, it makes it obviously easier to track them down, find them, identify them, as well as people like yourself. If you can recognize some faces, if you are out shopping and see them, you know, don't go near them, get out of there, right?
Very true. Yes. Now, as far as me personally, I said this to you off air, after almost 8 years, it was good to put faces on people who I know been hunting me. But none of these names and faces are going to be the ones on the streets. Remember, these are the Unit 40 members. I highly doubt any of them even are outside of Iran. The good news about this exposure is, first of all, now the Unit 40 might be forced to completely re-instruct itself because the top secret names and faces are out.
Okay.
Meaning
so
even Iranian people might kill them.
Okay. So clarify, these are not the faces of people here in the U.S.
No, these are the faces behind the operation of cybersecurity, hacking, spying, gathering information, locating targets, and all of that. These are the face of brain behind the operation of killing and kidnapping.
Is the Trump administration, I mean, we know Todd Bensman knows about this, and we now know he is working directly with Tom Homan. So other than Todd, do you think we have too many other government officials that take this group seriously and are trying to find them here in the U.S.?
I would say we do, considering, well, I don't know about Trump administration, excluding Trump administration, historically, our government is very aware of every single unit of IRGC. Every single one of them supposedly are under sanctions, and they're not necessarily added to terrorist list, but they are under sanctions as groups, not individuals. That's another good news. Now, with individuals tied to this unit, those individuals could also be sanctioned and indicted. We have indictment from other units of IRGC, from our DOJ here. So yes, are they aware, and do they take Unit 40 serious? Very much. When during 2020, you heard about it, the Pennsylvania hacking of our election of 2020, the Iranian hacker tied to it was Unit 40. So yes, even inside America, they have done things and activities, and our government is aware of it. Depending on which administration was in power, some were upset with it, some got an indictment against them, some looked the other way, and I have a feeling Trump administration is going to be that administration that's going to look the other way.
And one reason they're going to look the other way, I hate you have to say that, is look here. Again, Iran International yesterday, updated today. Trump says U.S. will probably reach a deal with Iran. So I guess they're not going to be able to cut a deal with Iran while they're also tracking down their terror cells here in the U.S., right?
Exactly. And that's the thing. The Substack that's going to come out tomorrow, I actually did what I do very good. I grabbed the transcript of the 40 minutes video of the Crown Prince and Trump from Tuesday night, and I broke it down sentence by sentence. One of the things Trump claimed again in that meeting was Iran is desperately looking for a deal. And we know Iran is not asking for a deal. They have declined any negotiation, but this is the new token sold to American people. Look, Iran wants a deal, so we're going to sit back at negotiation table. And in the meantime, we're just going to look the other way. We're not going to cover that federal judge in New York just passed almost 50 years, combination of 50 years present time for IRGC, a Russian hired man to kill Masih Alinejad in America. You didn't hear Trump saying anything about that, did you? Because I didn't. No one from the administration said anything about it. Nothing.
So just to refresh the memory, a judge just sentenced that man to 50 years.
There were 3 men, Russian assassins hired by IRGC, One of them got lesser time because he flipped and showed all the receipt of the money they received from IRGC, all the communications, all of that. The other two, which one of them was actually arrested right here in New York, the other one was arrested somewhere in Europe, they were handed 20 years each for Pollard. This wasn't even kidnapping. This was the round of killing Masih Alinejad by orders and paid by IRGC. Yes,
And killing,
this was 2.5 weeks ago.
Doing the killing
Masih.
where?
Right here in New York. Right here in New York. That's why it was a New York case. The court was inside New York. It was a federal court. The federal judge put the hammer down. And if there was a lot of testimony, like if you dig in through the testimony and documentation, you'd be amazed why Trump would ever think of saving the Supreme Leader's life. Because remember, IRGC orders come directly from the Supreme Leader.
What do you
when
make
they
of the
go
fact,
to kill someone?
What do you make of the fact, though, that IRGC hired Russian hitmen to do it?
Well, because first of all, it is a lot easier for Russians to get to America, inside America, than it is for some Iranian tied to IRGC. That's number one. The second reason is I believe when they put the hit in the black market, as they call it, I can go back and review the document, but the first man already has pre-existing coordinations with IRGC in Europe. So he picks the hit, he contacts his guys here who were already inside New York, said, here, we got the money, go get the girl, here's the address. And by the way, Unit 40 is the unit that provided the Russian hitman with Masih's address, hottest spots, where she goes to get her hair done, where she goes to shop, all of that was provided by
And
Unit
why
40.
were they going after her?
She is another opposition to the regime, and she became very famous, though I should say, yes, she is a registered Democrat in America, but she got a lot of attention during Women Life Freedom Uprising in 2022. She became very loud. She was being heard. She got invited to a lot of events that were supporting the freedom for women and removal of hijab in Iran, so she became an opposition.
Where is she now?
She's in New York. She's still in New York. She's not leaving New York, as she said.
I'm guessing she has security now, right?
She does have security, yes. She had security before that too, but not as tight as she does now.
Mm-hmm.
But another thing is, the first time in 2021 I came on your show, the first call I got from FBI, a lot of your audience reached out to me, get help from FBI, and I said, no, I prefer not. Listen, when Masih agreed to go under FBI protection after the first kidnapping failed Pollard, they found her in FBI's safe house. That's when they decided to try to kill her. Not trying to bash our FBI. I'm just saying you should think about it. Why would a heavy target under protection of FBI be that easily found by some Russian hit guy?
Unless you have moles inside the FBI, right?
Exactly. And that's why kindly, I appreciate the offer, but all 3 times of receiving calls from FBI to inform me they found me on this hit list and that hit list, I have refused their help. I think I can keep myself much safer than FBI could ever think of doing.
Let's go to this, Annie. We dealt with this on radio and TV today with Usama, Bill Federer, and Sharam. This is going all over the internet. I don't know who did it. I give them credit, but I don't know. The Islamic Doomsday Clock. 1 o'clock, target an open democratic society. 2 o'clock, begin mass migration from Islamic countries. 3 o'clock, random terror attacks begin to happen. 4 o'clock, create Muslim enclaves in the largest towns. 5 o'clock, demand special privileges. 6 o'clock, infiltrate councils and target seats in government. 7 o'clock, assert dominance with tactics like open street praying. 8 o'clock, create a party of Islam in the democracy. 9 o'clock, use Islamophobia laws to suppress free speech. 10 o'clock, Islamic terror attacks increase. 11 o'clock, provoke a civil war in a host nation. And then midnight, establish Islamic law or Sharia. Sharam said today he's talking to people in the UK who are in the military, in police, and intelligence over there. And he's saying that in the UK, that they're at 11 o'clock, provoking a civil war in the host nation. What do you make of this? And where do you think we are in America? And do you agree with the order here that they laid out from 1 to midnight?
I will also credit whomever did this. They did a great job. I would disagree, but you can even see it right here in America. But historically, as they conquered countries, including Iran, I would move few things around the order because they don't start the mass migration from Islamic countries before a random attack. And I would even change that random attack into the shocker attack, such as September 11, for example, or the Paris attack. They normally shock the country before they do the migration, at least historically. Also, they always create or they infiltrate the government after they create a dominance with tactics like open a street parade. That always comes after. We've witnessed it here, before having, all the Muslims in offices. We were already facing the Friday prayers in Michigan, in Minnesota, in California. But in general, this is a great clock, I guess. And as far as where we are in America, I think we're at 9 o'clock. I mean, today, CARE announced they're suing Abbott in Texas.
Because Abbott put out a order saying basically you're a terrorist organization, right? CARE and Muslim Brotherhood.
Yes, and he's also supposedly pushing to ban practice of Sharia outside of the religious aspect in Texas. But I would say we're definitely at 9 o'clock. And that's why myself, yourself, Sharon Hadian, Sarah Adams, we've been saying, watch out, 10 o'clock is coming.
Which is Islamic attacks increase.
Exactly. Not because, again, a lot of people are like, why would they do that? They fit in and we forgot all about
They're getting elected to office, for Pete's sake. Why would they ruin the PR stunt?
But that's the thing. The Islamic attacks are the PR stunt. Look back at September 11 until today. Because
it's deal with us and we'll keep the, quote, extremists under control, or elect us or we'll do more of this. Which one is it, or is it all the above?
In my opinion, neither. It's where they create the confusion they have created all the way. That the attack has nothing to do with us. Let's run to microphones and cry victim. Poor moderate Muslims are going to receive backlash. We're going to make you feel guilty about you not voting for me because some radical blew up a building. So it is to become the victim. Let the terrorist attack happen, and then let the folks running, who are the Islamists running for office, become the victim of racism. Exactly. And people vote for them. Islamophobia, racism, bigotry, your white privilege is making you not vote for me because you believe the radicals. All of those narratives we've heard so many times. It's our bedtime story now. Yeah, absolutely. Let's go to this one. You've got a brand new article out today. Afghanistan's starving. The West didn't just abandon Afghanistan. It helped collapse it. Isn't this interesting, by the way? This came out today when there was the funeral in Washington, D.C. for former Vice President Dick Cheney under George W. Bush, that's when they went into Afghanistan. He was kind of one of the masterminds behind that, architect of that, was he not, along with Donald Rumsfeld and others? Correct me if I'm wrong. Yes. Yes, he was. You are very right. And it's, as you know, my timing normally does have meanings. Yeah. So there's the funeral today. May you rest in peace. Yeah, may you rest in peace. So there's the article right on the day of his funeral. So give us the Cliff Note version of this and why it should matter to Americans today. Sure. Well, right off the bat, your audience can see, even if they don't decide to now read it, but UN just released new information, and it is stunning when 90% of the country of Afghanistan cannot feed themselves at this point, meaning they have to skip a meal or they have to sell something, trade something for food. And we're not talking about the steak, okay? It's like a piece of bread. Some yogurt. I was talking to a friend of mine from Afghanistan, and she was literally telling me there are areas where they're surviving with nothing of protein whatsoever because they can't get beef or ground beef or chicken, nothing. They're just doing, what they can. Soon we're going to basically see the real starved. You know how Gazans were starving with about 30 pounds overweight? We're going to see real starvation of children in Afghanistan. The three reasons I think this is important and people should care. Number one, we're humans. And though I come from Iran, a country with over 2,700 years of battles, invasion, fight, war, starvation, success, all of that, but I can say by far the most abused country in Asia by Western empires have been Afghanistan. Afghans been through too much, way too much, especially today's Afghans. We went to that country and for 20 years, we raised a brand new Afghan generation. As I mentioned on my Substack, Brannon, new generation of girls who went to schools, became teachers and doctors. And then we handed the country back to Taliban, who shoved all these women back into their burqa and inside the home and collapsed the entire culture that we promised, we promoted. And as always, your audience could see this coming. The reason this happened, the Doha Agreement, I want your audience to go look up Doha, D-O-H-A, the Qatar Doha, the capital of Qatar. Doha Agreement was signed at the end of February of 2020. 2020. That agreement was signed by Trump and Taliban. Did Biden make a disaster out of our withdrawal? Absolutely. But did Biden sign this? No. Trump gave Afghanistan back to Taliban. On top of that, also release of Taliban prisoners. On top of that, commitment that United States of America will completely stay out of all policy makings of Taliban inside Afghanistan. And somebody needs to be held accountable for the starving Afghans today.
Now, the average American, though, is going to say, look, we spent enough money over there. That's the last thing we need to do. We got Americans here struggling to find a job and pay their bills. I'm done spending money overseas. I mean,
then it stopped Trump administration from sending $40 million a week to Taliban. How's that for stopping funding?
Well, that's $40 million a week. They're trying to turn that off. Can you believe they're still fighting to turn that off? I think the congressman from Tennessee, Tim Burchett's one of the leaders trying to turn that $40 million off, going to the Taliban. Which is really Al-Qaeda. They're all connected again, right?
Yes, they are.
And they're planning terrorist attacks in the U.S., and we're funding them. We're funding them to carry out terrorist attacks in the U.S.
And here's the most ironic part. Trump talking the tough talk and never actually doing anything about it. The very first article of Doha Agreement says the Taliban will take concrete steps to prevent any group or individual, including Al-Qaeda, from using Afghan soil to make any security threats to the U.S. or its allies. That is first article of that agreement. 2020, right now is 2025, end of 2025. Trump had 11 months to say, hey, though I signed that Doha agreement, I'm taking it back. You're on your own. Again, I'm working on too many things. I understand that. But one of the things I'm working on, my fellow Americans, I need you to understand many countries in the Middle East, with all due respect, don't need your money or your government to fix them. What they need is the government of United States of America to go home and leave them be so they can fix their problems. You watch TV and you actually believe Middle Eastern or most of Asian, including Central Asia, Pakistan, Afghanistan, India, Iran, Iraq, you really think these people don't know how to fix their own problems? You do realize all of them got into the situations they are because of UK and US, right? They all come from 2,700, 3,200, 1,800 years of history, culture, and understanding. They're not broken. They're not barbaric because they don't know what they're doing. No, they are broken. They're barbaric and angry because we keep going in and destroying their culture, their understanding, their entire existence. So I'm not asking for America, just like I never asked America to help Iran financially. I'm not asking for American dollars to go to Afghanistan. I'm actually asking for U.S. to stop funding Taliban and watch them collapse.
Well, that's fair enough to ask. What do you know about this? The City Journal says that the largest funder of Al-Shabaab is the Minnesota taxpayer. Much like the HHS program, autism claims to Medicaid in Minnesota have skyrocketed in recent years from 3 million in 2018 to 54 million in 2019, 77 million in 2020, 183 million in 2021, 271 million in 2022, and 399 million in 2023. Meanwhile, the number of autism providers in the state spiked from 41 to 328 over the same period, with many in the Somali community established their own autism treatment centers, citing the need for culturally appropriate programming. By the time the fraud scheme was exposed, 1 in 16 Somali 4-year-olds in the state had been reportedly diagnosed with autism, a rate more than triple the state average.
I shouldn't laugh. Yes, that is I think this case started falling apart and then at some point fully exposed mid-2024, where a Somalian nonprofit organization in Minnesota, just like Holy Land Foundation and the other CARE in California, was exposed for basically scamming money to send it to Al-Shabaab, funding terrorism. Don't ask me why they're not being indicted. Don't ask me why DOJ is not investigating them. But the evidence is out there literally at this point publicly for anyone to find that they did what this article and many other articles are claiming. But nobody, right now, we don't have time to investigate these scams. Again, we have California CARE that is up in the air for investigation and indictment, but they did the same thing. They sent the money to a different terrorist group, but they did the same thing. I would invite your audience to go back and read my Islamic status of 501c3 in my Substack, where they are literally abusing our 501c3 status to raise money and send it to terrorist groups. If I could find the evidence, I'm pretty sure DOJ can find it too.
Look at this. Lakeville City Council approves plans for city's first mosque. This is just right outside of the Twin Cities. Those who know the area know Lakeville. Melissa and I would come from speaking events where I was speaking when we were newly married, and when we would get into Lakeville, headed toward St. Paul area, we knew, okay, we're getting close to home. We're getting back to the Twin Cities. But Lakeville was, at the time in the early 90s, Lakeville was very, very remote. I used to go speak at a couple of evangelical free churches in Lakeville, Minnesota. Again, very out there, remote area. I mean, there was hardly anything going on. It's grown up a lot since the early 90s, and now they're getting their first mosque. They are just conquering Minnesota, just conquering it.
Brannon, I would say, based on my 18-city conquered, the map of conquered America, I don't think we notice places like Minnesota, places like Texas, places like Michigan, but I can almost guarantee you at this moment there is not a single state that doesn't have a conquer area. It's been spreading fast under the radar. Nobody's paying. Again, I was talking to a friend today, and they were doing the whole red wave, blue wave midterm. I'm like, forget about the red wave and the blue wave. Worry about the green wave. It is coming. It's coming fast. I've been concentrating. I feel like, I don't know, I might be way over my head here, but I feel like my book needs to come out way before midterm, because that might wake some people up, if they read the book, to not vote for these people. But they have conquered at least one small, tiny town in every single state in America at this point.
And it's happening while Americans, white Americans, are buying into anti-Semitism. I mean, the timing of all this couldn't be more quote, perfect, end quote, from their standpoint, right? I mean, they're rising with their anti-Semitism. The white folks are rising with their anti-Semitism. It's all merging together there now. And Michael Savage, who I don't agree with everything Michael says, that's for sure, but I do enjoy listening to Michael Savage. He said this today. Owing to the vile, sickening, he's Jewish, half Jewish. I think it's one of his, I can't remember if it was his mother or his father. One of them was Jewish. Owing to the vile, sickening, un-American, anti-Jewish hate on my socials, I am regretfully turning off all comments. Candace Tucker and little Nikki have destroyed the America First movement. And this is from him, the father of borders, language, and culture. Yeah. 80-year-old guy, Michael Savage has got to be 80. Look it up for you guys. Or I could probably beat you doing it faster than you guys in there. I bet you he's older than 80. I like to tease the boys, even though they're in 20s. I find stuff faster. 83. Yeah. That's going on. And then we have this, and that is related to anti-Semitic mob descends on historic New York City synagogue, urging the resistance to take another settler out. This is only going to increase, I think, obviously, under the new mayor. They'll be emboldened. What do you make of all this, Annie?
Well, let me be the broken record here. When you have an administration that is praised by about half of this country and can do no wrong and comes in, one, historically, stands in front of cameras and bashes Israel with whatever word he chooses to do, and then goes and opens up our White House, the highest symbol of freedom and liberty in the world.
You're talking about Obama right now, right?
No, I'm talking about Trump.
When did he bash Israel?
You don't remember? During when he got his ceasefire between Iran and Israel?
And he said they don't know the blank they're doing?
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yes. No, he said they've been at war for so long, that is bashing. Israel has not been at war for so long. Israel's been defending itself. There is a difference. There's a very difference between they've been at war for so long. That is a wrong message from a president to send out to Americans. The right word is, they've been defending themselves for so long. The first choice of his second term of travels is not Israel, it's Saudi Arabia. That's his first visit. And while he's there shaking hand with Jelani, he still doesn't make a visit to Israel. And then he opens up the White House to all these jihadists who have been chanting death to Israel and death to America from their existence.
Including putting one on the Faith Committee.
There you go. And then on top of that, one of the worst, tomorrow, Friday, November 21st, stay tuned. Mamdani is coming to Oval Office.
Now,
what happened to all the tough talk?
All the tough talk before the election was if he got elected, they could probably stop him from taking office or defund them. And I mean, he was really talking like he was going to deal with him, but now he's going to welcome him and nothing's going to happen, is it?
Exactly. First of all, Trump's excuse, Mamdani asked for a visit. Well, guess what, Mr. Trump? Prince Pahlavi has been asking for a visit for 10 months.
That is the son of the Shah.
King of Iran, correct. He has publicly and openly asked for a visit for 10 months. How come he doesn't get the visit?
Because that would be a huge insult to a lot of the Islamic countries.
There you go. So when you have an Islam or Muslim appeasing president who has the ears of many Americans, who's about to host an openly anti-Semite socialist Muslim mayor-elect, he's not even the mayor yet. In the White House, what do we expect from the, what did you say, the white Americans? Mm-hmm. Most of the white Americans are watching the White House. What's happening in there is the right thing to do. Well, it's apparently a right thing to do to, again, shake hands with another. This one is a 12er Shia Muslim who wants Israel off the map at the White House.
You're talking about Mamdani. Well,
yes, Mamdani.
And I want to go to this last article, unless something else pops up here real quick. Germany caves. Another Christmas market canceled over Islamic terror fears. Mm-hmm. So Germany can't even hold their traditional Christmas festivals anymore because the Muslims get out in the street and scream and holler. Now the security fears are too high.
Exactly.
Watch. This will be here in America before long. But, in some ways it already is. I mean, but some of these characters put threats against 4 out of 5 of my buildings, and well, I guess they put threats on all of them, but 4 out of 5 of them pulled their contracts. Well, I should say, one, Des Moines said no way, because that's Tamara Scott's family. So they said, no, we're not pulling the contract at the Holiday Inn Convention Center. We're into free speech here. So they stood with us. The other 3 cities in a row, boom, 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 pulled their contracts, said too many threats, can't do it. And then the last one standing was in the Twin Cities, believe it or not. And they said, you can come here. You have a contract. But a state trooper came in here and said, whoever's got the building better have a lot of security. We're getting a lot of chatter. And so we're going to ask you to have X number of cops. And at that point, it just became, from a security standpoint and financially, not possible. So we agreed to that one not going. But they caused us to lose 3 nights in a row where the facilities said we're pulling your contracts. So we already seen this happening in America to us. Wait till it happens to a Christmas parade somewhere like it is now in Germany.
Yes, and again, let's not forget how we started 2025. On New Year's Eve, we started the year with the terror attack of the truck driver driving right into the crowd. Why am I drawing a blank on the city's name?
That was down in Louisiana, New Orleans.
New Orleans, thank you.
That's where the mayor down there, I guess, didn't even know they had those things that would go up in the road that they could have had up that would have stopped him from even getting down that road, right?
Yes. But that's the thing. We started the year with an Islamic terror attack. So
be vigilant.
It's definitely here.
Be vigilant. What's that? We're a bunch of Islamophobes, right, guys? Yeah, we're a bunch of Islamophobes. What they say, right? Look, right, Annie?
We are definitely a bunch of Islamophobes, but I at this point, I will wear any label if that means we can get to stop these people. Because to my full disappointment, I really thought we're going to have a better chance of fighting with Trump administration. Doesn't look like it.
No, it doesn't. liveuptofreedom.substack.com, liveuptofreedom.substack.com. Also, lutfstudio.com. Let me go there. lutfstudio.com. You can buy Christmas gifts there as well. These are all handmade by Annie herself. liveuptofreedom.substack.com and lutfstudio.com. And the big breaking news story tonight is Annie is translating from Farsi into English the report of the Iran International on the fact that they have uncovered who some of the leaders of the Unit 40 are that are involved in going out and finding people criticizing Islam, and particularly their real favorite target is former Iranians themselves who are in other countries criticizing the regime. Correct, Annie?
Yes, opposition and dissidents of Iranian nationality are the main target. I mean, outside of that, some of the names I have noticed is, for example, the former chief of nuclear agency was on their target list of information. Raheel Raza, the Canadian supposedly reformer, her email was hacked. They reached almost 2,400 of her emails while hacking her system. So few non-Iranians were on the hit list of Unit 40, but about 93% are Iranians who are opposing the regime or exposing information about the regime.
We'll be watching over at liveuptofreedom.substack.com for that new report. Be safe, Annie.
Thank you. You too, Brannon.
Pray for Annie and visit our websites. Do some Christmas shopping, lutfstudio.com. You appreciate what we do here, folks? You appreciate what we do. We appreciate your support. Worldviewfoundation.com. We actually just put out one of our newsletters. And one of the things we said is we're needing to raise money because we need to increase our security budget. We need to be able to have, we've had to do a lot of security stuff that we don't talk about here, and I'm not going to talk about here, but we have spent quite a bit of money over the last couple of years, security related. And so we need to increase that budget, unfortunately. So we put out a newsletter about that. There are things we have to spend money on and things we have to raise money to get ready for. And some of them we just don't talk about for obvious reasons. Security details, what we do and whatnot, we don't talk about those. But just to say, that's one of the things. So worldviewfoundation.com, if you appreciate what we're doing, we do have a studio and we have to be safe and we have to be careful. And so again, we appreciate your support and your understanding. We're willing to put out the information and bring it to you, but folks, we need your support. All right. Worldviewfoundation.com, worldviewfoundation.com. We do have a 2-day international online Worldview weekend. We're doing Thursday, December 4th, Friday, December 5th. A ton of speakers. One of the things we'd like to do during that two days is play testimonials from you. Would you be willing to call our testimonial line and leave a testimonial that we could play back on the air, letting folks know how we are impacting lives here, whether it's our reporting like we just did with Annie or our Sunday night church service where we opened the Bible and I just went through the Bible verse by verse in the book of Revelation for a year and a half, or our series now on why I'm a Christian Zionist this Sunday night studying Romans, chapter 11. Would you call that number? Leave a testimonial we can play back on the air to encourage people to understand the importance of supporting us because we're impacting lives. How have we impacted your life or that of your family member? 901-468-9357, 901-468-9357. If the voicemail's full, give us a couple hours. We'll get it opened back up, clean them off, get it opened back up. 901-468-9357. Is it open now, Logan? 901-468-9357, 901-468-9357. Thank you for leaving your testimonials that we can start playing on the air for our 2-day international online Worldview weekend. Thursday, December 4th and Friday the 5th, we'll be preempting our programs other than, I'll do probably the Worldview Report and we'll do Worldview Radio at 1 o'clock. But other than that, we're going to preempt a lot of the programs and just bring you a lot of great stuff. 901-468-9357. Thank you for your testimonies. All right. And for your support, worldviewfoundation.com. We also will be sending you tax receipts if you make a contribution to the foundation around the last week of January with our EIN number and everything you need. Worldviewfoundation.com. All right. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
Hello, I'm Brannon Howse. I want to thank you for all your support at wvwfoundation.com that helps make possible pushing out 24/7 content for free. Without your support, we'd have to put it all behind a paywall. But thanks to you and your support through our foundation, we're able to push it out for free as a broadcast service and broadcast ministry of WVW Foundation. Please consider going there and setting up an automatic monthly contribution, or go there and make an occasional contribution. If you prefer to support us through the mail, you'll find our mailing address there at wvwfoundation.com. You can also call and make your contribution over the phone by calling 901-825-0652. That's 901-825-0652. Again, all these details are available at wvwfoundation.com. Thank you for your support as we try to help people around the world understand the times through the lens of a Christian worldview.
Joining me now is Michael Weiner. Lots and lots of news stories today. Here's one. Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook said officials should monitor how unexpected losses in private credit may spread to the broader U.S. financial system due to the increased complexity and the interconnections with leveraged firms. We'll get to that. News came out today on NVIDIA. I don't know whether to believe it or not. I don't see their books. I can only tell what's being reported. And then stable coins and Bitcoins. What's going on with that? There was Bitcoin falls today below 88,000 for the first time since April 22nd. A lot going on in the financial world. Markets way down today. I guess they started up, way up, and then way down. Let's get a take on all of this from our financial guru, Michael Weiner. Michael, welcome back.
Good evening, Brannon. There's so many stories out here right now, and some people are really coming forward. The situation with NVIDIA is, it's almost like I could see this coming about a week ago when there's all this conversation. NVIDIA is going to come out with their numbers. When they come out their numbers, if it's bad, it's going to affect the market. It's going to tear the market apart. We've got to make sure whatever's going to happen with NVIDIA, all of a sudden the numbers come out great. Beyond expectation, until somebody, by mistakes, and it's Mr. Robot, found out that NVIDIA's numbers were not necessarily what they were supposed to be. These people in the markets For the people who listen out there, your financial guys do not work for the market. They work for people that run the market. And understand that they have one goal in mind, is to keep the numbers as much as they can, even if there's no stability and strength behind it. And that's exactly an example of what's gone here. We are now taking that hit literally in the real end of the market because somebody got caught with their fingers in the cookie jar.
Now you're saying an algorithm? Did an algorithm pick this up about NVIDIA?
Correct. An algorithm and it's robotics through AI. And they were able to do number checking that a human being might take months to do or days to do in a split second.
And what did they find? They found that they weren't what?
They found that they misinterpreted their numbers. They ran their numbers. So the company
is not as profitable as we're being led to believe? Is that what you're saying?
Absolutely not. Not only are they not as profitable, but the reserves that they claim they have are not as strong even as Intel. The way Intel does with their net capital, they keep, I think, somewhere around 91%. AMD, about almost 94%. And that other company, the Taiwan Semiconductor, literally is almost 100%. NVIDIA is around in the 70s. But they're made to, given all this credibility, all this AI connection and all the rest of it, and all these people are tying upon that bandwagon. And that bandwagon is almost like the beginning of the internet. We went into the internet and all of a sudden it was going to be great. And if you remember that company that literally bought out Time Warner was Steve Case. It was Time Warner was no longer in existence. And all of a sudden it was the company that Steve Case and his partners had that took over that. And all of a sudden, literally 3 months later, that whole Time Warner deal fell apart. And the AOL, you remember AOL?
Yeah, barely.
They're gone. AOL bought Time Warner all on paper. All of those guys who did that deal should be in jail, including Gerald Levine from Time Warner, who got $140 million and then retired. And then they found out 3 months later that AOL was worthless. It didn't have any basis to anything they said they were doing. And Time Warner just literally unraveled the whole thing. It's a fact. Google it.
Wow.
These type
the
of
views and
things
opinions
go on.
of Michael Weiner may not be that of the host of the network.
Exactly.
That's my disclaimer to cover my rear end. But
my disclaimer is we believe that that's a circumstance.
So Mr. Weiner, what are people saying could happen with NVIDIA in 2026? Is there some kind of other report that's going to come out in 2026 that they're going to be required to report that might show this and thus be a bigger forecast of what's to happen to NVIDIA in the future?
Well, I think a lot of the AI, what NVIDIA has done is tied themselves up to a lot of other companies, including Oracle and including the AI company that's all over the place right now. And I guess my comment is that I think some of that will start unraveling itself, and when it does, the numbers will become more evident because those numbers based on their cash flow is not correct. That's what we found out today. That's why the market's down. So how do we move into the future? The problem is President Trump has got us so connected to NVIDIA and what they're doing and tying everything else up with ChatGPT and all this other stuff going on. They're finding out that maybe they're not selling all these chips that they're selling. And I think some of these other companies that are really responsible are going to become more important. And I think that's why you have somebody, I think Paul, I forgot his last name, he just legitimately shorted NVIDIA just because of the fact that he's concerned about that stock drawing back. So is
this why the Fed Reserve Governor Lisa Cook said that we have increased complexity and the interconnections with leveraged firms? So you have to watch this?
Well, I hate to say to agree with her, but she's absolutely right. The thing that's going on with NVIDIA is very similar to Lucent. And if you remember a company called Enron, that's called Who's Got the Potato. Enron was brilliant in one thing. What they did is they created all these LLCs rolling into each other. There was like 40 or 50 different LLCs. It was almost impossible back in those days for them to be able to run numbers because of the fact that legitimately it was so confusing. If you remember, the chairman of Enron, and his name escapes me, the other gentleman went to jail for almost 10 years and then was pardoned eventually. But the chairman killed himself because he was just afraid of how the numbers would come out. And at one time, Enron was a golden child, and so was Lucent Technology. Lucent Technology was at the top of the world at one time, the #1 telecommunications company, all done with smoke and mirrors. They're gone. And then another really big one was WorldCom. WorldCom, if you remember them, was legitimately took over, and this is what really shows you the games that's played with the government, and that literally was Barack Obama. But WorldCom was a company that took over the commodities industry by storm, legitimately took over part of the telecommunications industry with the takeover of various different telecommunication companies. And they were a company that had to file, just the way in the up-and-coming AI industry, they had to file what's called a monthly financial report. It's called a focus report. When you're a licensed company, even if you're Merrill Lynch or any of the other ones, you have to file a focus report every 30 days on the financial condition of your company, because hopefully you won't have a bankruptcy that catches everybody by surprise. That's the reason why they do that. Here's a big catch up with that. WorldCom, the chairman of the company, and you can check, he used to be the governor of New Jersey, and then he became the senator after that. He signed the focus report 3 days to 5 days before they went bankrupt, saying they were in great financial shape. And Obama gave them a total pass. They never went after him. They never prosecuted him. Quite honestly, Obama backed him to run for senator. And you'd have to look up the name of the gentleman who was the last chairman, and he was ultimately a governor and a senator of New Jersey, and his name escapes me. And he literally walked away unscathed just because Obama gave him a pass. So there's a communication by a lot of people about what went on today, that there is possibly a similarity at NVIDIA to what went on in Enron, Lucent, and WorldCom, these fake numbers. And there's a concern regarding that, especially when everybody was waiting on the sidelines of the market for 2 weeks. NVIDIA's numbers, that's all you heard, NVIDIA's numbers. Well, they came out, they were great. The market went up this morning, big time. And guess what? It's down almost 400 points at the close. Why? Because that information that you and I know about was made available.
So let's look at this newsletter, the Abisasi letter, or whatever it is. Why are markets crashing? Our logical explanation. There's quite literally only one headline that can even be partially blamed for such a sudden market crash. At 11:20 a.m. Eastern Standard, the U.S. Labor Department said the November and October employment situation will be released on December 16th. By this point, the S&P 500 was already down 70 points from its high seen at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Standard. However, in the 40 minutes after this announcement, the S&P 500 crashed another 120. We now know that the Fed is effectively entering another interest rate decision with an economic data blackout. Markets do not like information asymmetry. But is this really enough to erase nearly $2 trillion in market cap in a matter of minutes? In our view, this was just the switch that shifted sentiment. The reality is that investors are on the edge in this market. When a sudden decline begins, investors rush to the exit because the bubble's popping. That's what they think. This works in the opposite direction as well. When stocks surge, the rally accelerates quickly as capital rotates back into all AI stocks because AI is the next big thing. The reality is that we now live in a market where any headline can drive trillions of dollars of market cap in a matter of minutes for one sole reason. Sentiment is more polarized than ever. You agree with that, Michael?
Totally. I mean, it's just right now what they're doing is it's a juggling act. And that's why we had talked on the show the other day about the repo market in the banks. One of the biggest concerns, and by the way, time out, but the gentleman who was a governor who was the chairman of WorldCom was John Corzine. And then what Obama did, not only gave him a pass for fraud, he should have gone to jail because he signed a fraudulent document.
In your opinion,
in my opinion,
add the in the opinion. Yeah. We had that, by the way, just so people know. We had that.
In the industry's opinion of many's, let's just say he stepped a little bit off the line. Obama backed him, and he became the senator after that. So I guess, what the heck. We had a lot of interesting senators from New Jersey. But getting back to this, they're having a meeting in jail, I guess. We are looking right now at a gentleman by Mr. Moran, who was appointed recently to the Federal Reserve, and he came out today. He was on television, and he said, I have a major concern about the stability in the banks and the way they look at the equity positions and their debt positions, which falls into what we talked about, Brannon, when we talked about the repo market. This is the problem, the weakness, the concern that he has.
Now, who is that saying that? Who's saying that?
Moran, M-R-A-N, the guy who was just put into the Federal Reserve. Brilliant guy. And he just came out and said, this is a major concern that is out there right now.
So you're saying a guy at the Federal Reserve is concerned that the banks might be in bad financial condition. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm saying is the way they run their numbers and the way their equity positions are looked upon, he felt needs to be upped and not be so low and leveraged. He felt there needed to be more stability. That's what he's saying, and how they look at their equities, their leveraging, and that ultimately is their lending.
Well, isn't that consistent with you and I talking about our concern with all the trash derivatives these banks are holding?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And there's some good people like him that are coming forward and saying, we need to stop this. This is exactly what happened in 2008. And the only reason we didn't lose the banking system is because the American people had to support it by the bailouts, everything that went out.
Now, the Federal Reserve chairman, he's done in what, May? When is he done?
April, May.
And who do you think Trump's going to pick to replace him?
I hope Waller. I think he's a sharp guy. Waller is a good man.
Okay.
I think he would be somebody who would be good. We need some truthful people in place, because this number crunching that they do, we constantly get surprised with. And I just don't understand why President Trump is allowing some of these people that he has that are moving the numbers the way they have. It's surprising. That gal that they put in over there at the banking system at the Federal Reserve to be second in control, she's got to really crack the whip, because some of this stuff is just not making sense. And that's why Jamie Dimon came out a month or two back and talked about the debt and the problems with the debt and the issues at hand right now that makes him very concerned. So, the days ahead are not bright and rosy as everybody think they are. That's why people are concerned. I went to Los Angeles last week, and I was walking. I do a lot of power walking, and I'm walking through the streets there. Besides all the homeless people, every other step you take, which is disgusting, all these stores that are shut down. And I'm not talking in a bad neighborhood. I'm talking in the middle of Brentwood. Every other step, every other door is shut down. Businesses closed everywhere. It's like a third world nation there. I'm amazed. You either have the ultra rich that live behind fences, or even the lower and middle class people there. I just don't get it. The quality of life is just horrific.
Now, what are you hearing as far as the banks being low on reserves, and they're going to need a liquidity injection?
That's exactly what Mirren was referring to, and exactly what Cook is talking about. You can't juggle your numbers to make yourself look good vis-a-vis leveraging your assets. and that's through their derivative market. You got to take the paper out. It's like when we talk to people and say, stop owning all your money in paper and own physical gold. And that is because of the fact that paper can be manipulated. And that's exactly, Brannon, what we saw today. When you talk about your side of things and the food side with freeze-dried foods and the need for people to get protected, a picture of food isn't the same thing as food. You can't just buy along with that situation. We saw how fast, when we talk about, and then I'm doing a commercial for you, when we talk about freeze-dried food, look what happened within days of COVID. Yep. Shelves were empty in the grocery store within days, not weeks, days. So when we're talking about paper assets here financially in these markets, they can change the numbers with a snap of their finger and pick a number. Pick a number, any number. It's like, say, pick a card, any card. And then that's what NVIDIA did today. That's what Enron did. That's what Lucent did. That's what WorldCom did. They made paper numbers happen, and then somebody finally figured it out. And you might say to yourself, boy, it took a long time for them to find out about that with Enron. And that's exactly why today what happened with NVIDIA is sort of upsetting to those guys who are supporting an industry that caught them. The people that they are supporting legitimately, the AI industry and accounting, within seconds found the mistake in the numbers. And, look out for what you support, I guess. But that's why Enron took such a long time. And that's why WorldCom took such a long time. And that's why white-collar crimes and things take time to unravel. I think that whole world's going to change very quickly with AI. They'll be able to do accounting in minutes that took them months. Wow. And that's going to be a problem and a control problem for the industry. If somebody's honest in the SEC, maybe some of these billionaires and hedge fund people who are billionaires will start losing some money. Who knows? We'll see.
Look at this. Why did Bitcoin fall? Bitcoin falls below 88,000 for the first time since April. I don't own Bitcoin. I would never own Bitcoin. I think it's digits. I'm not convinced the CIA is not behind it. I don't even know. I have no idea who's behind this, but I don't like Bitcoin. I think it's stupid.
Bitcoin,
that's my opinion. People can love it.
You're right. And my opinion, as I said when we talked before, is like S&H green stamps on steroids. But they created a whole industry.
Green stamps. A lot of the audience has no idea. They have no idea what you're talking about.
The grocery store, because I'm prehistoric. Years ago, when you went to the store, you get all these things from Starbucks and everybody right now. They would give you these little S&H green stamps, and then you get a book and you'd pick out what you wanted out of it when you got all these stamps.
I remember them. You could get a card table. You could save up enough to get a card table and all kinds of stuff.
I got a radio. It fell apart 2 days. But in any regard.
By the way, I found a quick little don't let the stupid commercial pass. I actually found a quick little commercial for him. I remember the green stamps. Here we go. Here we go. Look at this, Logan.
We receive our big load at 3 a.m. on Wednesday morning. I'm usually here by 7 o'clock. I'm Jerry Speck. I've been in the grocery business for 22 years. You may think my job is keeping this store. Actually, the most important thing of all is keeping customers. My customers don't want vegetables. They want fresh vegetables. And we buy them by the fieldful. Fresh fruit, too. There are thousands of items. Anyone can sell you meat, but it's getting the right grade, making sure it's trimmed right. These are the things that count and keep customers coming back. Things like friendliness and neatness count, too. In fact, everything's important in keeping my customers happy. That's why we give S&H green stamps. Not just any stamp, S&H green stamps. Like everything else we get for our customers, we picked the best stamp. Our volume went up when we started to give them. S&H green stamps fits into the way we do business, giving our customers the most for their money. That's why so many women keep coming back here. Men, too. Most men who shop will say, don't let me forget my S&H green stamps. My wife will shoot me if I go home without them. My customers know how much value they get when they redeem their S&H green stamps. That's why so many of the best merchants here in Los Angeles give S&H green stamps.
Now, when you would get a little pack of those.
A book.
And you put them in your book, and then when you filled the book up to a certain level, you would get, you know, you could get some a card table. But if you wanted to keep going and get multiple books, the value of product kept going up and up and up and up. Then they went to doing that on a card. You'd swipe your card and get points, and you could cash it in for stuff.
That was the beginning of it.
But this was the beginning of it back in there. And yours, and the way that came up is because you were saying that Bitcoin to you is what?
S&H green stamps on steroids because of the fact that they created fake money. S&H green stamps was fake money. You saved your stamps and you went in and you bought things. They trade actually. S&H green stamps had stores that you went into to get things. I was just a kid. Would you believe, Brannon? And at the end of the day, I went in there one time and my mother let me save enough of her stamps to buy a portable radio. And I took it in there and traded it in for the radio. But you're trading something that's non-existent into rewarding yourself with something that is hard asset. They use Bitcoin for money. Like we used S&H green stamps for money to buy products. The problem is that why Bitcoin is going to go down, and my prediction personally is it's going to go down dramatically, is when the government regulates you. As we talked about with these other companies that were regulated, you have financial reporting requirements. You can't just say, I'm a rich company because I have so many Bitcoins. You have to be able to report a financial responsibility based on dollars, not Bitcoins. So these companies that are so wealthy are going to have to restructure themselves to have cash and turn in some of their coins. So they'll be selling some off to raise capital to meet requirements to be in business. All of their managers, all of their people working there are going to have background checks and pass licensing tests to be in the business. All of the people out in the field are going to have to go through licensing with the SEC or the CFTC. When they do that, all of these things will go down in value, just like junk bonds did initially. So I believe you're going to have a major restructuring of the entire crypto industry. Once it goes regulated, they're going to be responsible, and all the people and all the criminals that were doing business in it aren't going to be able to do business in it, and all the reporting is going to change, so the industry will change. But this was all done to give credibility to digital currency, Brannon. It's like we talked about with the great reset. They are talking about the credibility of this in order to be able to use stable coins to replace the U.S. dollar. And the U.S. dollar's days are numbered. It'll be a gradual situation where there'll be a reset, there'll be a devaluation, a revaluation, and eventually most of the young people under 50 don't use paper money at all anymore. They mostly either they've got their credit cards tied to their Apple phone, their iPhones, and other things, perhaps whatever type of phone they might have. But at the end of the day, they're using that for money. Nobody carries that cash anymore, hardly in their age group. Older people do, and you're going to see that eventually get eaten up. But then the government will devalue the dollar, and in my opinion, it's going to be a very interesting period of time over the next 18 months we're all going to live through, and you're not going to solve that problem a lot of people say, well, I'll go to cash. No, you won't. That's not going to help you. That's why Mitch, who was on the show, I forget his last name,
Vexler.
stated
Mitch
you only have
Vexler.
There's only two things you need to do. You either have to own land or property, or you own gold, because any other thing other than a hard asset is all not a non-tangible. And that's pretty much the way they're trying to take the entire economy worldwide. The European Union is literally in the throes of going digital right now. China's already done it with the BRICS at the Great Reset in July. Japan's doing it right now. They say they're doing it to be able to control fraud and all this other stuff. Really what they're doing is the great way for them to check you. Privacy is going to be a thing of the past unless you own something that offers you it.
Wow.
Literally.
Yeah. All right. Now, I got a little shocked today. I don't want to sound like George H. Bush, who went to the grocery store. They're scanning milk, and he's like, oh, look at that. They scanned the milk. No, I've never seen a scanner, huh? Because he never went out, I guess, to go grocery shopping. So I don't want to sound like George H. Bush. Hey, Logan, can you find that video where George H. Bush was shocked by a scanner?
HW.
George H. I bet you I could find it faster than you, Logan. Go.
Oh, H?
I always do a little George H. Bush grocery store scanner. Oh, found it. Beat you, Logan. All right, here we go. Here we go. Watch this.
That famous campaign stop where Bush Sr. was discovering, if you will, the wonders of the supermarket scanner. He'd never seen one before.
Yeah.
Remember?
He'd never seen one before. He was shocked. I think he was running for president when that happened. Look at, there's George W. back there. Look how young George W. was back there. But yeah, that was not a good moment for him. He was like, that's kind of interesting. Look how that works. I think I actually found it here, the real one. Here we go. Oh, that's no good. We got to find a better one than that. But the point is, I don't want to be like George H., like I'm shocked. Okay, that's your cue to take that down. I'm not trying to be like George H., but I was a little shocked today when I found out that stamps are now 78 cents a piece. When did this happen? I think it happened like 4 months ago, I think. I'm going somewhere with this, folks. It's called inflation. Hold on, I'm going to show you the history of stamps. Okay, hold on. Watch this, though.
Well, it could soon cost more to send mail, I should say. The U.S. Postal Service is trying to raise prices. Now, the proposed rates include a 5-cent increase for first-class forever stamps from 73 cents to 78 cents. Now, the price to send domestic postcards would jump from 56 cents to 62 cents. Also, the cost to send metered letters and international letters and postcards would increase by 5 cents.
Wow, I had no idea. So we got some stamps today, and it was 78 cents a stamp. And I'm like, what? 78 cents to send a letter. And I said to one of the guys in the control room, I said, I remember when stamps were like 10 cents. Michael, going back to the, to the Great Revolution, you probably remember when they were, what, Michael? Let's see here. I go all the way back here. I guess you remember them back in 1863. You could mail one, I guess, 6 cents to mail a letter in 1863. And then it dropped to 4 cents.
I remember when stamps were 4 cents.
But then it went to 2 cents. Did it really go from 8? Yeah, I guess so. 6 cents.
So it's gone up 20 times in value in my lifetime.
1925, 2 cents, 28, 32. Okay, 32, it's at 3 cents. 52 is at 3 cents. What do you remember it at?
I remember it at 4 cents.
Okay, 4 cents is 58. Okay. Then I come along, about the age to know what's going on, born in 69. So about 74, 75 was when I would, oh yeah. So I remember when stamps were 10 cents. I do remember that. Okay. And then look at this, 75, it goes to 13 cents, 15 cents, 20 cents. Let's get into my high school days. 22 cents in 85, 25 cents in 1988. Okay. But look at this. Watch these go up. Okay, this is inflation. And they're probably still not charging enough, to be honest with you, because I think the post office probably is losing money, but that's not due to the price of the stamp. I think that's due to mismanagement. But here we are, 78 cents. This is a perfect example of inflation, right?
Exactly.
You wonder, I wonder if people could buy those forever stamps and hold on to them. And if a stamp goes to being $1 or $2, you have forever stamps. You could start trading stamps as a form of currency. I'm not kidding. That kind of stuff would happen under hyperinflation, would it not?
Yep, it sure would. Another industry that's going to go through a metamorphosis in our benefit will be the cellular phone industry. If you want to talk about being overcharged, cellular phone business is probably, they make a fortune. That's why they give you full free phones and all that. In my opinion, I think that industry is going to go through a whole cutback because all these other companies that are opening up are like so much dramatically cheaper. And it's the same service, and people just get nervous because they think, well, if I leave one of these companies, and all of a sudden my ability is going to go down. I got news for you. I dumped a big company I was with for 20 years, and I went with one of these little mini companies, and guess what? No difference.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
No difference.
By the way, let me add one more. Here we go. The U.S. Labor Department officially publishes the September job reports 48 days late. The U.S. added 119,000 jobs in September above expectations of 53,000. The unemployment rate rose to 4.4% above expectations of 4.3%. Unemployment is at the highest since October of 2021.
If you look at the numbers on where the jobs were added, what was concerning out of those numbers is normally we look for good approaching numbers for the business industry, retail, new businesses, et cetera, and those were negative, big time. The retail industry, the industries that they normally would hire people in, big time down. Government hiring up, strangely enough. And some of the technical industries were up. Actually, the housing industry, they were hiring, which is good to see. But the retail, what should concern people is the retail industry and the small business area significantly down, and that is not good.
All right, so we're going into a recession. Is that what I'm hearing? Are we already in one?
I think the United States indirectly has been in a recession for many years. Nobody's ever called it that, just because the numbers are all smoked. All we ever talk about and all we ever find and all you ever report, and we've reported together and other people have pointed out, like people like Mitch, is the smoking of numbers. Pick a number. You want a number? We'll create a number. And the people who have gotten ultimately rich are the bond and fund traders. They make a fortune. But strangely enough, like I said before, how come every time there's a crash in the market, millions of people lose money? If everybody is on top of this and all this reporting we watch every day and these geniuses are on TV and all this great stuff, the market collapses and people got to go back to work. Why? Because the people in the industry don't lose. It's the people who invest in it that lose. And that's why we talk about security and protection and physical assets, because this type of stuff is not going to improve, especially when they go digital. You're going to lose your identity because you'll have no control. You won't need a wallet. Have your phone.
Wow. All right. Thank you, Michael. If you want to get your free packet of information, worldviewgold.com, worldviewgold.com. Find out about numismatic. That's 1933 and older. Considered antique. Collectibles. Comes with some privacy. Otherwise, fresh bullion, silver eagles, gold eagles, or putting gold into your IRA. All the information can be found at worldviewgold.com, worldviewgold.com, or simply call 1-877-864-1072, 1-877-864-1072. We'll be right back after this break.
News is moving faster than ever, and so are we. Worldview Tube brings you 24/7 live stream coverage, and now, real-time alerts when it matters most. Once you have the Worldview Tube app installed, exit the app and navigate your way to Settings. In Settings, locate the tab labeled Notifications. Select the Notifications tab. Scroll down until you locate the Worldview Tube app icon. Select the tab, and here you can turn on and customize your notification experience for the Worldview Tube app. News doesn't wait, and neither should you. Turn on push notifications to stay informed. Every headline as it happens.
Introducing the Sentry Wellness System, the ultimate under-sink water treatment solution designed with you in mind. Say goodbye to harmful toxins and hello to water enriched with essential nutrients like calcium and magnesium. Enjoy the benefits of increased pH for on-demand alkalinity. All from a zero-waste system that fits seamlessly into your home. Installation is a breeze, taking just 15 minutes, so you can have clean, healthy, great-tasting water straight from your tap. Perfect for apartments, homes, rentals, and even RVs. Elevate your hydration and well-being with the Sentry Wellness System because you deserve the best in every drop.
Sentry H2O. Tap into wellness.
Joining me now is Dr. Bashima. She's a special doctor. Very special. She's a specialist. What kind of doctor is it you are again?
So I'm a board-certified family medicine doctor and certified with functional medicine, the Institute of Functional Medicine. So almost 30 years in practice.
So you're a DO?
Yes, I'm a doctor of osteopathic medicine, and I went and did a family medicine residency after that.
Smart as a whip. Smart as a whip. All right, look at this. I got gifts. She sent me gifts. Melissa and I gifts. What did you send us here, Doc? I know what it is. That's a rhetorical question. What is this?
I sent you my favorite teas from a company called Tea Leaves. So I sent you, and then it tells you on the package sort of what it is. So I have a whole bunch of teas. So some are for immune boosting, some are for relaxing, some are, one of my new favorites is the apple pie flavor. All of them are all
apple pie flavored tea.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
I got to get some of that. Logan, why don't you see if we can get on board with this company? Surely they must have an affinity program or something for us, right?
Kind of affiliate program. They should. If not, they should, because they're a little pricey. But I mean, they even take into consideration how they make their tea bags so that you're not getting exposed to all those microtoxins. This is matcha. Matcha is an amazing tea. And what we do with this, the reason I use this a lot I actually put it in my coffee, and I'm going to show you a little trick today. So I'm in my kitchen, so I can show you my favorite coffee that I actually drink every morning. And I put matcha in it because matcha is really good for your brain. It really helps with laser focus without giving you the jitteriness of caffeine. So I can actually make decaf coffee and add a little of this matcha tea to it. And I get the same amount of, for me, it's not about physical energy because I'm always really physically active and full of energy that way. But for me, it's more mental laser focus, especially when I'm seeing patients. So this is what I drink, and I will maybe have it.
I'm sorry, but you mean people want you laser focused when you're seeing them as a doctor? Oh.
You know what? If I'm not laser focused, oh my gosh, I don't even.
I mean, you're going for surgery.
I don't even want to know because I'll tell you, my patients are not easy, right? I'm their fifth or sixth opinion. That's just what functional medicine doctors are, and not just me, but most functional medicine doctors. Most of us are seen because their problems are either something that they want to treat differently without necessarily prescription medications, or because they know that something else is missing in the traditional world. So we get hired.
I don't think you want to go have a little visit with your doctor before you go into surgery. And he says, it's going to be all right. I'm not really laser focused today, but I think I'm going to do a good job. I'm not really focused. I'm tired. I'm not laser focused, but don't worry. This hip replacement will go just fine. That's not what you want to hear before you go in.
I'll tell you what I don't do in the morning is I don't eat a bowl of cereal or something like that, because that is a great way to be the opposite of laser focused. And that is like, when can I go take my nap type things.
Yeah. Right. And then you sent me this here opens.
Yeah. What's the flavor on that? What's it say?
That is, it's apple pie.
That's right.
I have the apple pie.
That's right. I sent it to you because it's one of my favorites.
Wow.
So you open it and smell it. I mean, you can smell the freshness of the herbs that are in it. So yeah. So really, really good. You might need a scissors. I don't know. I usually use a scissors for mine, but.
Get it. I just want to smell it there.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
There's an immune boosting one that I swear really works. Whenever I start.
No, I got it.
Yeah. It is just so. It's just so perfect.
I got it enough to be able to smell the.
Yeah, smell it.
It smells just like apple pie. Wow. Okay, I'm going to try this. You promise me I won't have an allergic reaction or anything?
I mean, it's really clean stuff. It's organic.
I always let Melissa try everything first.
Well sourced.
I'm like, here, you try it first.
I really hope you try this tomorrow morning. I don't know if you have this special collagen or not. We actually sold out when we were at your conference. Otherwise, I would have given you one, and we should send you one so you can try it.
Okay.
This collagen this is what I use in my coffee. Also, I put the matcha tea, and I put this collagen in it and just a little tiny bit of coconut oil. What I'm not putting into my coffee is any sugar, right? Because that's, again, I don't want my brain to be tired at all. And so this particular collagen, the reason why this one is so amazing, Brannon, is because this has a special, we need something called leucine in order to build muscle and strength. But this one has a special metabolite of leucine called HMB, or beta hydroxymethylbutyrate. Okay, this particular metabolite of leucine has more studies than anything else I know in terms of helping rebuild muscle, especially from recovery, like if you're having surgery and you're laid out in bed for a long time, or with our athletes that want to recover quickly, or this is really, really, really important, is as you get older, you start becoming under muscled. And it turns out the amount of muscle you have has direct correlation with your probability of lots of longevity markers. Okay.
Oh, wow. So I should live a long time, right, Logan?
You have to be intentional about building muscle, because natural sarcopenia, especially in people as they get older and hormones start to drop, then you will have a problem with longevity. You will have balance issues. What do I want to call it?
I don't know. It sounds like you're not very laser focused right now.
No, I want to say you're right. I want to.
I'm not ribbing you. A lot of my jokes, you don't even respond to my jokes. I mean,
I noticed that one, but you do have a lot of muscle. But I'm thinking, Brannon, plus 10 years. That's what I'm worried about.
Hey, me too. Yeah, you and me both.
I actually had a patient today. She's 66. I had her map her life out. So she's 66 now. And then I had her map out the age of her 3 kids. And then I had her map out the age of her 5 grandkids. And then I had her map those out again in 10 years and in 20 years. So when she's 76 and when she's 86. And I'm like, now start mapping out all these amazing milestones that you need to be around for. And she starts naming all of them, graduations. And I'm like, so how functional do you want to be when you're 86?
I just want to be around to see my granddaughter get married.
No, that's not good enough. This is why we're doing it. It's not good enough. We don't know when.
My mother and father and my in-laws have great grandchildren.
Your most important thing for your grandchildren, Brannon, is to be around to be able to influence them.
That's right. I agree with that 100%.
Listen, that's going to happen.
My granddaughter's coming to town tonight.
Yeah.
So
your ability to influence her will be most prominent in her life before the age of 10. That's when she's really developing a lot of that foundational, her belief system, her belief system about herself, her belief system about how other people treat her and believe in her or not believe in her. All these things are happening before she's even 10. So you are going to have a huge impact in her life before she is even 10. So then beyond that, and this is the thing, is we don't want to just be there at the wedding. We don't want help walking down the aisle at her wedding. Okay. We don't want to be missing out on vacations with them. Like, what's the point of having all this money and you can't take a vacation with your own children and their children because you didn't take care of yourself 20 years prior.
I know a guy like that. I know a guy like that is very wealthy, but man, he's really struggling with his health and should have taken better care of himself.
This is why we have this. This is why we have this collagen. To be honest with you, this is one of my favorite supplements that I take almost every single day, especially when I drink coffee. I try to put this in my coffee all the time. I'm going to show you my favorite recipe with the coffee in just a second. But again, this is not just your regular collagen powder. Okay. Most collagens are great for hair, skin, nails, and bone. And so is this one. But this one is really what makes this one a little bit more expensive is we put 3 grams of this very, very, very important amino acid metabolite to help preserve muscle mass, increase muscle mass, help with recovery, and our athletes love it. I love it. And I consider myself an athlete and do a lot of weight training. And so definitely this is a big part of my recovery process. So
I will tell you just real quick, I stepped down some stairs the other night in the dark. It was 1 step and then a patio and then 2 more steps. And it was dark. And I do this now more than, I do this now pretty often. I don't know, maybe it just comes with age, but I used to look at like my in-laws, my mother-in-law, and watch her being very careful on stairs walking. And you would think to myself, I'm not looking forward to that because, we're bounding around. We don't care. And the other night I walk outside, I step out on the patio and then 2 more stairs. It's dark. And what am I doing? I'm straining to see if I'm stepping on anything. I'm leaning against the post. I'm thinking, doggone it, I'm at that age now where I'm scared of falling. And I don't know, what is that? What is that just because I'm physically fit, but what is it as you get older that you're like becoming more aware that I could fall? When you were younger, you just would go out there, you know?
Well,
What is that?
definitely. It's definitely your sense of balance, but also more importantly, it's those little tiny micro muscles that you don't use. This is why you want to do at least 1 day a week. Remember that Bosu ball I showed you a long time ago?
The one you were standing on?
Yeah.
Bouncing
I do one
on?
to 2, right. I do 1 to 2 classes on a Bosu ball every week. And the reason I do, and or yoga, you can also do yoga or Pilates, anything that encourages.
We don't call it yoga here because we're not going to go into the spiritual realm. But you call it stretching, right?
Right. Stretching and Pilates, you can definitely do those. And so, and even just, you can practice it like when you're in the kitchen, like right now, I'm standing on like one leg. Okay. And I'm not like jittery. I'm not doing that. I'm balanced because I've really awoken those little tiny micro muscles that help a lot with balance. So definitely that, it gives you a sense of security when you're walking. So you're not, you're not unsure of yourself. And it also helps with, what we say a lot in medicine is when you exercise, we want you to do things that are cardiovascular, weight training, but also improve neuroplasticity, your brain. So things like dancing, things like walking on uneven sidewalks, things like hiking with a heavy backpack, where your steps are not for sure. Like on a treadmill, your steps are pretty for sure. When you're on an uneven sidewalk, you're actually having to use your brain while you're walking, just like the steps also. Walking backwards on steps, as long as it's safe, walking backwards is also going to encourage that. But you have to engage your brain with some of the exercises you're doing to give you a sense of balance, to improve that muscle nerve connection. It's a thing. It's a real thing. Your perceptions are legitimately real. Like
so at 56, I'm not afraid that I'm getting frail or anything. No. It's just like, wow, I don't want to fall. And I was just thinking, that's really weird. At 56, I'm now more aware of stairs. It's dark. I don't want to fall. Whereas when you're younger, you just run out there, right? And again, I just listen. Maybe, look, I have broke my back. I have broke my ankle. I realize how quick it can happen. Man, I've snapped my ankle, boom, like that. So when I was younger. So I don't know. Is some of it just obviously common sense that, hey, let's be careful. Whereas when you're younger, you're doing things you really shouldn't be doing, right? I mean, but some of it must be, as you say, something must be going on, which causes older people who you watch them and they're able to go shopping and do all things. But when it comes to certain things, they act older. And it's because either, I don't know what's going on. For me, it's like, I don't want to fall. I don't want to break my arm.
The counter of that is improve neuromuscle communication, the brain communication to the muscles, to all muscles, not just the big ones. And that's why you want to do different types of activities. Not, if you cycle every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8 a.m. and that's your cardiovascular and that's all you do is you go to a cycle class, that's not good enough. You got to do a variety of things, and at least 1 to 2 days per week, you have to do something that requires your brain and your balance together. And then also, just for fun, go out and walk outside or take dancing lessons. When you dance, you're using your muscles, but you're also using your brain a lot too. And especially if you're dancing with a partner, and especially if dance is something new to you. But the other thing too is
dancing. I don't know. Wow. I don't know. I came from a Baptist background, fundamentalist Baptist background, dancing. I don't know about that, but I guess it's okay if you're just with your wife.
I promise you those. Yeah, I promise you those dancers that are listening right now, they've got an amazing sense of balance, and they are not having trouble going down the stairs.
Which, by the way, maybe I can get away with it because my friend who passed away several years ago now was a Fred Astaire dance instructor, Dr. D. James Kennedy. Dr. D. James Kennedy, you probably don't remember who he was, do you?
That is in my brain somewhere, but I'll tell you what.
He was on television all over the place. He was out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Okay. But he was a Fred Astaire instructor. And when I was with him one day, he said something, I don't know what it was. And then he said, I was a dance instructor. And he started dancing like Fred Astaire across the room. And I'm like, wow, he still got it. He had to be 70.
Yep. And you know what? He had a great sense of balance and everything. But I'll tell
By the
you,
way, I do want you to know that I'm very big on aerobics, and I have been. I actually have some family footage of Logan when he was a little boy, me teaching him how to do crunches. I just found this when I was going through the family videos the other night. There he is, Logan. I was teaching Logan to do crunches, and we're very big on health here. So anyway, there he is. There's Logan.
Logan, that to you.
Yep. I ignore the fact that he was on a leash.
You know what? I have a funny story. We always participate in our local turkey trot on Turkey Day, Thanksgiving Day. And we started
boys in the control room are still busting out laughing, by the way. They're still laughing. I'm sorry. But
no, that's
turkey trot. Go ahead.
So, and I would make my kids do it. And so one year, my 8-year-old daughter was running with me, and we were running. When we got to about the 2-mile marker, and we were running slow. And when we got to the 2-mile marker, she's like, "I need to stop, Mom." I'm like, "No, just keep going." She's like, "I need to stop." I'm like, "All right, well, I'll see you at the finish line." Totally joking. And she stops at the tree and she's like, "Oh my gosh, Mom, you have to stop. You call yourself a doctor? You can't even see your own daughter," like whatever. And I'm just like, oh my gosh. And there's like hundreds of people around, and she's like screaming this at the top of her lungs. And I'm like, I don't know if I should stop right now. I should just keep going.
Man, I'm not going on a walk with her, because that's me. I'm like, why are you guys busting laughing out so hard in there? There.
That was fun, but that was fun.
They put my voice on the squeaky thing? Oh, that's the payback. Logan's getting payback.
Okay, good job, Logan. Thank you. I couldn't even hear that in here. I guess so if I play a joke on you, now I get a joke played on me. I see how it goes. Okay.
All right, let's make my favorite coffee if you want to with this special collagen. Okay. Thing I do is I add 1 scoop of the collagen. This collagen, I have to say, is a little bit pricey. So sometimes I will only use half a scoop, but it's pricey because it's got 3 grams of this amazing amino acid in it, right? And then I take a little tiny bit of this this matcha tea, so just a little bit, not like half a teaspoon. I throw it in my blender. By the way, my blender is stainless steel because you don't want plastics in your coffee.
No, you sure don't.
You're gonna put something hot in here to blend it. You don't want to blend it with something that So purchase that, and then I put just a little bit of coconut oil in there. This is about a teaspoon at the most. I just put this in my coffee. And
now, is any of this available at worldviewvitamins.com?
Yeah, the collagen is available on worldviewvitamins.com. Yep.
Where do I go? Where do you go to get that on there?
Just go to the there's the special supplements by themselves up on top, the top tab, where it says shop.
Oh, yeah, shop up top, okay.
And then there should be on that right-hand side. If you go to the right-hand side, there should be a tab for the, I'm sorry, you have to, there it is.
Yeah. All right, so just go to worldviewvitamins.com, then go up to shop, click shop, and then scroll down, and there it is. There's the collagen.
I'm going to go blend this really quick, so it might be a little bit loud, but I want to show you how beautiful this coffee is. Hold on.
Do it. And while one of you guys let in the studio dog, she's scratching at the door to get in. Hold on, Dolly. We'll be right there. Thank you, Tommy. Oh, also, Tommy, I think my computer's unplugged. Do you mind plugging that in before it dies on me? Hello, Dolly. Welcome. We're waiting on Dr. Bashima to grind the coffee, blend it up.
Oh,
look at that. Look how beautiful that is.
It's so, and you know what? Wow. And not only that, but this is like good for you.
Now, you put ice in there, right?
Yeah, I put ice in here. I
turned it into cold coffee, not a hot coffee.
Into an iced latte. You can have it hot. You can. I could have just put it back in my, Disney World coffee mug.
Yeah, here. Right.
But in the afternoon, I like a refreshing cold drink. So.
And now, does that have any like caffeine or anything to help you stay awake?
Well, it's not that stimulating type of stimulation, right? Because this is decaf coffee with a little bit of this green matcha tea, which can stimulate you a little bit, but not that nervous energy.
Okay, so you will get some energy from it then.
Yeah, you will. And you definitely. And then also with the saturated fat from the coconut oil, again, this is something you want when you're not eating anything else. This is like, to me, this is a meal. right here. It's got fat, it's got carbohydrate, it's got fat and protein in it.
Right.
And this is all I need for breakfast. This is it.
Dang.
And so when you think about this, there's no way you can get a drink like this at any coffee shop that is this clean. You know, remember our products, there's this thing with protein powders that a lot of them have a lot of heavy metals and other toxins in them. Ours are all third-party tested. We have certificate analysis on every single batch we make.
Nice.
Like, it's not, and it's all randomized. So we have the third party does it randomly. So it's not like we're going to know what they're doing.
Well, we need something, because all I did was ask Thomas to plug in on a computer, and you'd have thought I asked him to go to the moon. So Logan had to come out and plug it in for him. So we got to get Tommy on something. Help him out.
Well, I want you to try this for like a week and then see how you feel. Like,
right.
use this at 2:00 in the afternoon when you're hungry or you feel like your, blood sugars might be crashing. Do this instead and see what happens, and then let us know what happens.
Okay. And then the collagen folks at worldviewvitamins.com. Now, let me ask you about something that you do in your practice, which I find very interesting. And that is, you do a survey of them from the time they're, a year old to 10, right?
0 to 10. Yeah.
0 to 10. And
0 to 10. Some of the things that happens, Brandon, even some of the things that happen when you're still inside your mom's uterus can affect how your brain works later. There's actual studies on that. So if your mom had a very stressful pregnancy, whether it was emotional stress or stressful because there's a lot of medical issues going on, and mom had to be on a lot of antibiotics or prescription medications or other things, that can affect how your own brain works and how you handle stress when you're born. Yeah. And not only that, but how you're born, whether you're born C-section or vaginally, has a huge impact on your gut microbiome, which, as you know, has a huge impact on mood, behavior, anxiety, depression, gut issues, eczema, all these autoimmune diseases, all these other things than when you're born in a sterile environment like a C-section versus a vaginal dirty environment, which is what you want. You want to be seated. Your mom's vaginal microbiome actually changes when they're pregnant, when moms are pregnant. Yeah. So we go through all of that history so we say birth, but really it's pre-birth all the way through 10 years of age. And the main reason we do that also is we want to look at behaviors and patterns, and why people are doing what they're doing. For example, we had one lady who had a brother who was this professional in this one sport that he was playing, and actually got to move from home to Tennessee, Nashville. There's a big, huge Nashville tennis place to go for tennis players at age 13. So all the accolades were for this brother, and she got nothing. And so her accolades came in her perception of how important money is to her mom and dad. And so what she perceived as a child is, the more money I make, the more accolades I'll get from my parents.
Wow.
And so her whole goal, and she became extremely successful. She's a CEO of a company in her 40s. She became extremely successful, but was driven for the wrong reasons. And it wasn't, she realized that she really wanted to be an artist, and she probably would have been an amazing artist. And she is starting to change things now in her life. But, when you are that successful, then you're also going to have, an expensive home, expensive cars. So you can't just all of a sudden just stop and become an artist if you're not making money in it. So it's kind of one of those hard transitional things, but it's that recognition that what you do when you're little and what happens to you when you're little, whether it's abuse, whether it's somebody, encouraging you and telling you can do anything, or somebody telling you you're never going to amount to anything, all these things really play such a huge part in a child.
What is a common thing you see for overachievers? You mentioned one right there. Is that a common thing you see with CEOs and overachievers, very wealthy people? Because people always say, well, what's the secret to, being so successful? And there's you start investing and compounding interest and the power of 72 and all that. And that's all nice and good. There's truth in all that. But sometimes you find out, it's psychological, some of it. Maybe they don't want to tell you. The truth is, I became successful to prove a lot of people wrong. You know, so
100%.
what percentage of overachievers or very successful, very well-off financial people, what percentage are really driven by something they were told, you know, you can't do this, you will never amount to anything, or they saw that to their family money was really important, so they wanted approval? How common have you seen that in your practice?
Oh, at least 1 out of every 3 people. And the other thing I see too, Brannon, is those people that are, you know, the pleasers in the family, the ones that want to do everything to make mom and dad happy. It's because usually there's a sibling who is a troublemaker. And so the one who's a pleaser and who gets straight A's and it literally, I can't tell you the number of people who tell me it's because they wanted to at least give the family something good to talk about.
Logan?
8 years old.
Logan is a very good child. I don't even remember ever spanking Logan. Logan, do you ever remember me even? I wasn't a big spanker anyway. But do you ever remember me even spanking you? He says, I don't think so. I don't remember ever spanking you because he was such a good little kid. Now, my older son gave me more grief. Well, he was very strong-willed. He's very successful, by the way. He's very successful. He's very driven, and he runs 3 or 4 different businesses. And makes really good money on the side selling high-end jewelry and whatnot. He's just very sharp that way. But he was a little bit of a challenge, to say the least. And then here comes Logan, the last child, the surprise child. And he just didn't give us any grief at all. Did you, Logan? He says, I guess not. No, you didn't.
And that might also be the comfort that you guys had.
I would think so. I'm going to take all the credit. Definitely the comfort I gave you, Logan.
Yeah, especially Melissa, this being, you know.
We have to go to her? I thought it was about me.
You know, her 3rd pregnancy being more calm, being more, you know, whereas the first one, even parents, our energies transfer to our children, of course.
Yeah.
You know,
well, President Trump asked us, we were at Mar-a-Lago, I had 2 of my 3 kids, my daughter and Logan there, and he asked us like 3 times, well, he said several times, great family, great kids. These kids are amazing, great kids. And then right before he left, and he was there in the room with just like 5 of us for a little bit for the interview and everything, and afterwards visiting. And he made several comments about great kids, you mom and dad, great job. Wow. What? And he finally looked at us and said, wow, I just got to tell you, we have this all on video, by the way. We should play it one day. He says, great kids. Oh, it's just amazing. And he said this several times over the time we were in the room and picked up on the kids' names and started using the kids' names. And he said something about, great kids. What did you guys do? You know, something to that effect. I can't remember. We got the video. I said, well, to be honest with you, it's all her. And I pointed to Melissa. He stopped. He looked at her. He looked back at me and he goes, I could see that. And turned around and walked out. So there you go. So Melissa even got the recognition from President Trump. That's who she gave the credit. He gave the credit to as well.
So that's an awesome story. I love it. I love that.
And he would have probably even been better and brighter if Tamara Scott and I hadn't dropped you on your head when you were like 5 months old. One of our talk show hosts, she and her husband and family were on vacation with us. She put him in the little car seat. I put him in the truck in the back, snapped him in. We get out to go to dinner, and I unlatched the car seat, put it under my arm, and I'm carrying him with the little strap, on my arm. So he's hanging down pretty low. He's not too far from the concrete. And I'm walking along, and all of a sudden I hear this weird thud, and I hear this screaming, and I turn around, it's him. And he's got this huge goose egg. Thankfully, it came out, right, not in. Huge goose egg, screaming. And Tamara and I felt horrible. Melissa, bless her heart, she was like, what did you guys do to my child? And we didn't know, should we go to the emergency room? He could not be consoled. He had the big goose egg, but there was a nurse there. It was actually the president of the National Religious Broadcasters Convention. The former president, he passed away, but it was his wife who was a nurse, who, by the way, my wife's grandmother took him to church as a little boy when he was 5 years old, living across the street with her son, my wife's father. And that's how that little boy became a Christian. And he grows up to be the president of the National Religious Broadcasters Convention. Well, he'd passed away, but his wife was also there with us and with these mutual friends. And she's a nurse. So she took him and kind of watched him, and he finally calmed down. He was fine. But we always think if you're this smart without having fallen on your head, how smart would you have been if Tamara Scott? And now he produces Tamara Scott's program every day.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
You did. You also had a little bit of a concrete fountain fall over and hit you in the head and catch your head between the fountain and a privacy fence. And I had to go out there and pull the fountain back up. He was caught screaming with this concrete fountain, caught between the fountain and the privacy fence. He had to go up there. Yeah. So, yeah, you could have been like a regular Einstein, except for those two situations.
Those are some good at least the one with the fall is definitely, concussion worthy. Mm-hmm. But also, the hematoma that develops on your forehead is always more impressive in appearance than it is in medical urgency. So
really?
Just because you have such a huge blood supply here. So just a little ice pack and just soothing the child generally is enough, especially when they're that little. Mm-hmm. Brain is pretty... the skull is still pretty movable.
Now, something else you and I have discussed before about you find about 1 out of 3 of your patients have been molested or something, right?
Right. Sexually abused in some shape or form. And a lot of times it's, and these problems manifest themselves later in anxiety, depression, overeating, pain, abdominal pain, IBS, and which is why they end up seeing me. But what we see is, it's always interesting to me to ask, where did it happen? What happened? Who did it? Because, I'm learning so much from my patients. And what I find is a lot of them, it was, if you have if the person who was abused has a brother who invites all of his friends over, and so innocent, right? You've got these football players over, they're, having fun in the basement, and a kid gets abused because of it. If you have a good looking sister, right? Uncles are another big one, and grandparents are another big one. So a lot of times it's somebody, like we know this already, right? But it's just really interesting to hear these stories. It's somebody that we trust. And that's the problem, Brannon, is as a mom, I don't have my red flags up if, my kids are around my family, and I shouldn't. I should have that peace and comfort of knowing. But the biggest thing that I can tell you that I've learned, and this is what I did with my own children, is we educated them. What is appropriate? What isn't? When is, do you tell your mom when this happens? That kind of stuff. So this is what we have been doing. I've been doing in my practice for over 30 years is when we do those yearly physicals and yearly exams, we don't ask a child if you've been sexually abused, because they are going to automatically deny it, because you have this internal feeling of shame about it, and also that you're going to get somebody in trouble, or no one's going to believe you, or it's going to rock your world and disrupt harmony and peace in your household. And so, there's a lot of reasons why kids don't just come out and say it. But what we talk about is we try to bring it to the forefront and have conversations about it like it's normal conversation, to say, if somebody touches you here or here, make sure you tell somebody that you love. Who would you tell? This is how we talk to our little kiddos. Who would you go tell when you're, 5 or 6 coming in for a general physical? I don't know. I'm like, oh, maybe you can go tell mommy, go tell mommy, that kind of thing. So we have these discussions with them, because a lot of times it's internal. You hold it in, and then it comes out later when you're in therapy.
And of course, a lot of these kids, these folks that were kids trying to be adults, probably develop drug problems, self-medicating, alcohol, right?
Yeah, all sorts of abuse with other things that are soothing to them for whatever reason. So whether it's alcohol or drugs or food is actually a very popular one because it is very soothing. And then we teach ourselves through repetition. Whenever we're going through anything stressful, we just soothe it with food, especially carbohydrates, which engages that parasympathetic nervous system, the relax and digest. So it gives us that temporal joy and also that temporal release of dopamine, which gives us that temporal happiness. It goes away when we're done eating, but at least we have that to get through stressful events, which is something that we train ourselves to do. When something bad happens, then you go for the whiskey or vodka or ice cream.
Yep. Well, and you know, when you're out at a restaurant or in the grocery store and someone's in the line in front of you or behind you, I often think about the fact you have no idea what's going on in that person's life. No idea. And you find out, you know, if you maybe strike up a conversation with someone, or my wife, I've actually been in places where my wife has said, because my wife knows way more people in town than I do. I deliberately keep a super low profile. I don't really need a lot of friends outside my family. I guess women probably always want, hey, we need friends. We have to have friends, you know. And I enjoy my friends and whatnot, but I could be on an island and it was just Logan and Melissa and I might meet at family and granddaughter and all. I would be fine, you know. It's kind of, as long as I had, you know, Dolly and my family, I'd be fine. But my wife knows a lot of people in town because she does more in town. And she'll say, you see that person over there? I'm like, yeah. And she'll say, yeah, her husband just died, and this is how he died, you know, ALS. It was very long, drawn out. At the end, he couldn't do anything. And I'm like, whoa, you know, so they're in a store, they're shopping like you are, but you have no idea that person has a deep story, one that actually reveals, you know, yeah, and she stuck by him to the end. It was so good to him. And like, wow, this is a person of high character who's been through deep waters and has probably formed her character even more. But you hear other stories, you know, you see that family over there. Yeah, their daughter committed suicide, and she'll know these things, right? I'm like, I have no idea, you know, how she knows all this stuff because women, I guess, network. But yeah, you never know when people are sitting around you what folks have dealt with or are dealing with, right?
Absolutely. And it really, you know, in my world, I get to hear all these stories, right, from a patient's perspective. In Melissa's world, she's probably involved in a lot of Bible studies and groups like that, as well as I am too. So we hear a lot of stories, but you know what that ends up doing, at least to me, is it just makes me more empathetic. And I think it really helps me have so much more calm in my life in terms of when I'm driving and there's road rage, and I immediately go into prayer for that person. I don't go into, you know, why are they doing this? I immediately go into prayer. It's a natural reflex. I guess I've trained myself to do that. And so what you don't know is what that person is going through and what they're capable of going through, and that they haven't had the same life experiences that you have. And maybe they don't even know God, and they don't have a relationship with, you know, when Jesus left the earth and ascended into heaven, he said, my peace I give you. We live with that peace. No matter what we've done no matter what's happened in our life, when we accept Jesus Christ, we have that Holy Spirit living in us. And if we exercise that muscle of having a relationship with Jesus Christ, then we have more and more peace in our life. But yet, and sometimes stressful situations, rock bottom, of course, grows you closer to God, as is the case with like somebody being married to someone who has ALS. But having that empathy to have understanding beyond what is humanly possible, that's through that relationship with Jesus Christ. And that transcends to how you treat other people and so just having that sense of empathy around you is super, super amazing. And also just hearing all the stories I hear in my practice on a daily basis. Some people have really had it tough. Some people have really, really, really had it tough. You know, I'm just thinking of some stories right now, but I can't share them.
My wife was sharing with me the other day, someone whose their first husband died, their second husband died, their son died. I was like, wow, I mean, this is someone she knows, and I know who it is, but I didn't realize all this about this person. Like, well, no wonder. Wow. Right. I have a friend of mine who is no longer with us, but he could be brilliant, but he could be sharp. He could be kind of snappy. And most people probably would have been turned off by that. And he's so brilliant that I just chalked it up as the kind of curmudgeon professor. And I'm like, you know what? If this is the price to pay to be his friend and to learn from him, I'm willing to pay that. So when he would snap or be irritable, he would come around, and he didn't like my yellow labs to get around him. He was like, get your dog away from me, will you? He was not a dog person, right? He did not want any dog hair on him or anything else. And he could be like that. And I thought, he's so brilliant. If this is the price of admission, fine, not a problem. And I just overlooked it because he's just so brilliant. I was just so honored to be his friend and learn from him. And the more I was a friend to him, eventually I saw that sharpness start to go away. And the more I did for him and ministered to him and befriended him and encouraged him and treated him with respect, which he wasn't treated with respect by some people for what he knew and what he understood and his intelligence. He was being dismissed. He was being dismissed by people who should have been paying attention to what he was warning about in the intelligence arena. And the more that I respected him and treated him with respect, the more I saw that kind of cranky snapping a little bit subside. But then I found out from a friend, a mutual friend said, you know what has happened in his life? And I said, no. And they told me the story, and I said, wow, well, okay. I could see where that could kind of put you maybe a little in a tough mood at times. And when I became to understand him as a full person, I actually not only had more compassion on him, but I respected him more by the fact that he kept going, that he didn't give up. And I'm like, if that means he's a little cranky, a little rough around the edges, curmudgeon in some areas, whatever. Compared to what he's been through, what he does, what he knows, what's on his heart and mind, because he's very knowledgeable about the threats to this country. And he's trying to carry this. I'll let it pass. And the more I let it pass, the more I never saw that side of him.
Yeah, we all have stories. We all have stories behind some, and the difference is how many layers of onion do you have? Do you have a lot of
right?
Where you have to peel all these to get to the good stuff, or do you have just a couple, or are you an open book? My favorite oncologist of all time was the crankiest man in the world, and I'm like, ugh, I hate sending my patients to the cranky oncologist when they've just been diagnosed with cancer. But yet he's the smartest oncologist on staff there with breast cancer. And so I started telling my patients, look, do you want to go to the really nice doctor who's also smart, or do you want to go to the best doctor who's really cranky? Every single time it was the best doctor who's cranky. And then they would come back and they're like, thank you so much for telling me he's cranky, because the way he treated people, they took it better if they knew, if they had that anticipation.
Yep.
So I'm like, just ignore it.
Yep. That's funny, because I would have people around this other guy and I would say, now look, he can be a little cranky or snap a little bit. Don't ignore it.
Ignore it.
He doesn't mean anything. He doesn't mean anything by it, and he's not even going to remember it in 2 minutes. So just ignore it. Yeah.
That's right. Exactly. It's not you, and it's okay.
Yep.
And you know what? My patients ended up, and just like with your friend, after working with this oncologist after 6 to 12 months, they got to know him better and understand him better and realize that his brain worked that way. But, that's he's just a genius, right? Mm-hmm. And sometimes when you're a genius, you suffer with the social IQ, Yeah. Mm-hmm. Like God gave you a lot of this and then a little bit of this, You can't have it all. Some people can have it all. Some people do have it all. I'm not saying you can't be super smart and social IQ is really high, but there's some people that, you can't have both at the same amount. So you have to appreciate those really smart people and know that you're going to have to make up for the personality. Because
exactly right.
You've got a lot of personality. So, and brains. I know what you were thinking.
What was I thinking? What was I thinking?
I've got brains too. I'm like, yeah, you do.
Does he have brains to make?
I would love to hear anyone who makes this drink. I would love to hear from you. It is going to take a little bit of work to get started because you're going to have to order the special collagen, and
which is at worldviewvitamins.com.
Super easy. And then if you want the tea leaves, the matcha tea, you can, this is something I'm not as picky about, but this is organic. This is pretty clean. So you got to be careful where you get your matcha tea. This is from tealeaves.com. So collagen, a little bit of matcha, a little bit, tiny bit of coconut oil, and there's your breakfast. And you know what? You can't find that at any coffee shop. You can't find this at any coffee shop.
Wow.
So,
all right. And I told Logan is going to get in touch with that company, see if they have an affiliate program.
Right?
Yeah,
that'd be awesome. Because then I can turn the camera around and show you my cupboard with all their teas. Because I have much every single one of the teas that they have, because I just love tea, and it's so good for you. Tea is so good for you. It's full of polyphenols that just are, it's like eating a fruit or a vegetable.
Really?
With the polyphenols that are in fruits and vegetables, the colors that make the fruit and vegetables the colors that they are what helps the cells work better. And teas have that. So yeah, absolutely. But you want organic tea. You want to try to brew it in a hot stainless steel pot.
Yeah.
All the clean stuff. You want to do all the clean, good, healthy stuff with the tea.
I agree. You definitely want to do healthy. And Logan loves his tea, right? He does. I a little video of him enjoying his morning tea this morning.
Oh, no.
There he is.
Oh my gosh, here we go.
There he is up there sitting in the tree enjoying his morning tea. There you go. Yep. Yep. All right. There you go. Logan, what flavor was that? Was that apple pie? Get your collagen at worldviewtimes.com. What am I saying? Worldview Times. Worldviewvitamins.com. See, I'm not sharp and laser focused right now. Worldviewvitamins.com. Dr. Bashima, as always, thank you for putting up with our irreverent humor here.
Thank you for having me, Brannon. Hopefully somebody's learned something today.
Oh, I think they have learned quite a bit.
Awesome.
But your husband, I've never met Dr. Mike yet, but I understand that he and I have very similar personalities, right?
Harry, that's why I can take you on.
Good.
That's why I can ignore you and I don't ignore you. I just put it in a little pocket.
She did. She said ignore. She did. She absolutely did. Okay, now she's trying to backtrack, right?
No, not backtrack. I just wanted to let you know I do put it in my brain somewhere, but in the less important file.
Oh, ooh, wow. The stuff I see is in the less important file. Okay.
Like there's important files, and then there's a less important comment file that sometimes I have to put some of the things that you say in there. Okay. Which, hey, that's fine. I guarantee you Melissa does.
Oh, yes. Yes. He's like, what'd you say? I was like 5 minutes later. She's like, were you talking? I'm going to get my blood taken. I am going to get my blood. By the way, I've been going through the home videos, and I found another one of us giving Logan a special cookie. In the high chair. He's in the high chair. Or was he getting a bath? I think he was getting a bath.
Logan, is it your birthday today?
He was in the bathtub. We were feeding him a little cookie.
Oh, wow. Is that why you're getting all the...
Maybe that was an apple with some, I don't know. But anyway, that's just another family video.
It looks like a guava fruit.
I think it was an apple with some fruit with something on it. But yeah, he was pretty serious about it. So
yeah,
you're a cute little boy. You're a cute little baby, Logan.
Yep. So cute.
Logan's not having it. All right. Thank you, Dr. Bashima.
Thanks, Brannon. Thanks, Logan. Take care, you guys.
All right, guys, that's our broadcast for tonight. Hey, don't forget, we got to have a big November and December for end-of-the-year giving to set our budgets for 2026. Please consider going right here, worldviewfoundation.com, worldviewfoundation.com. You'll also find our mailing address there if you prefer to support us through the mail. We will send out tax receipts at the end of January 2026 with our EIN number or your tax records. Don't forget about our Sunday night church service on Sunday night, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern. I'll be back. Brought to you by our foundation, our Sunday night church service. I'll be back Sunday night, part 2 on why I am a Christian Zionist. we're going to delve in deep to Romans chapter 11. That's a very important chapter because it's in the New Testament, and it's written by the Apostle Paul, who himself was an Israelite of the tribe of Benjamin. And he talks about, well, what is God's plan for the Jews? Is he done with them? No, he says. We'll get into that. You see two groups there. You see the Jews and the church, Gentiles, being formed. And yes, there obviously were believers in Yeshua who were part of the church, but you have two distinct groups being talked about there, which means replacement theology is wrong. So we'll get into all that on Sunday night, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, part 2 on my series on why I'm a Christian Zionist. And I'm bringing it to you from the Bible. Very important stuff. Hope you'll be with us. Again, our church service is brought to you by our church, which is worldviewfoundation.com, worldviewfoundation.com. Roll the music. Let's call it a night. I think Dolly's ready to go to bed. Do you have the Dolly cam ready to go? Because guess what? She's already gone to bed. There she is. She's already called it a night. Sleeping through the whole show. I wonder if some of you have been sleeping through the whole show. You just now woke up. Like, oh, better get up and go to bed. I hope not. I hope you weren't sleeping through the show. But if you did, you can rewatch it tomorrow at worldviewtube.com. All right. Hey, thanks for watching. Thanks for your support. Oh, hey, Dolly. She woke up. May God save America. Take care. Good girl.
Faith, spiritual values, moral issues, government, economy, education, work, responsibility. What we think about these depends on our worldview. Now, VCY America presents Worldview Radio with Brannon Howse.
Welcome. Glad you're with us. We're going to be joined by Bill Federer here at the beginning, and then Usama Dakdok and Shahram Hadian. I want to talk about the Islamic doomsday clock. I don't know who put this out. I'd like to give credit to whoever did it. The Islamic doomsday clock. And the final at the top at midnight is the establishment of Islamic law, Sharia. It's moving fast. But before we go to that, apparently the global warming in Brazil is so hot. It is so hot, the global warming, that the building at the COP30 climate summit in Brazil has caught fire. I guess that's global warming because they blame everything for global warming, right? So apparently Brazil has the worst global warming that even at their own climate change conference, it got so hot the building caught fire. Have you guys seen the videos? They're everywhere today. Now, that's a little tongue-in-cheek. We hope nobody was harmed or hurt, that's for sure. But isn't it kind of ironic that the people running around worrying about climate change apparently don't have enough common sense to try to prevent a fire from happening? I'd like to find out what it was. It looks like it was in the exhibit hall. So the question is maybe more emphasis on common sense instead of fairy tales, guys. But kind of ironic, the fire at COP30. We'll get a report, I think, later today on that from Alex Newman. Have it tonight for Brannon Howse live. Up early at the desk around 7:30 Central studying today. Spend the mornings a lot of times studying, of course, studying, doing show prep. But today I spent more time studying for about 3 hours just on part 2 of why I'm a Christian Zionist, part 2. And Sunday night, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern, our Sunday night church service we do every Sunday night will be part 2. And I'm going to particularly take you verse by verse through Romans chapter 11. Romans chapter 11. And we'll continue our study from the scriptures and refute some of the false theologies out there like replacement theology, dominion theology. So again, a lot of great stuff coming this weekend. Even though we're Monday through Friday, we're also Sunday night, worldviewtube.com, 8 p.m. Central, 9 Eastern. Joining me now is Bill Federer. Bill, welcome back to the broadcast. Thanks for being with us.
It's great to be with you.
Bill, take a look at this. I'll explain it to the radio audience. It's the Islamic doomsday clock. Now, I don't know who did this. I would gladly give them credit. It just says editor by editor. The Islamic doomsday clock. At the time, they were saying we were at about 7:30. And that was back in May of 2024. 1 o'clock is target an open democratic society. 2 o'clock, bring mass migration from Islamic countries. 3 o'clock, random terror attacks begin to happen. 4 o'clock, create Muslim enclaves in the largest towns. 5 o'clock, demand special privileges. 6 o'clock, infiltrate councils and target seats in government. 7 o'clock, assert dominance with tactics like open street praying. 8 o'clock, create a party of Islam in the democracy. 9 o'clock, use Islamophobia laws to suppress free speech. 10 o'clock, Islamic terror attacks increase. 11 o'clock, provoke a civil war in the hostile nation. And that brings you to 11 o'clock. Apparently they plan on winning that civil war. And if they do, the establishment of Islamic law. Bill, what do you make of this?
Yeah, I would just add that the 11 o'clock may just be through population. So as Muslim countries send people into Western nations, they milk the welfare system. So in Islam, a man can have 4 wives. If you go to Egypt, look at their marriage license and the government office, there's a line for the husband and 4 lines for wives. And so in Europe, the Muslim man will put a wife in each apartment, tell them to go down to the welfare office and say their husband's not around, and they get welfare checks. And he visits the wives, and the more children they have, the larger the welfare checks get. And so he's living like a king at state expense with his harem, and it's all paid for. And it's a social stigma for a Muslim woman to have less than 5 kids. And so the Europeans are maybe having 1 kid, but the fundamental Muslims are having 5 per wife, and then he can have 4 wives. They estimate by 2030 there will just be a majority Muslim population, and all they have to do is vote in Sharia law. So they may not even have to do the violence. But nevertheless, it is a pattern that goes back to Muhammad. So Muhammad was born in 570 AD. His father dies before he's born. His mother dies when he's 6. He's orphaned.